Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to be stopped.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Shore Boulevard, representing the best country on planet Earth, the United States, with my fellow Americans. Who are we? America! Land of the free, home of the brave! Let's go, baby! Let's go! What do we do this for? For those who can't! Gay running club! Gay running club! Hey, brother, this is not a gay running club, but we love you. No matter what you do in this life, there's always going to be somebody that's going to hate. So do it anyways.
Yeah, no matter what you do in this life, there's always going to be someone who's going to hate. Yeah, like that's not a gay running club. Like this guy didn't spend at least 6 months chained to Kevin Spacey's radiator somewhere. Please.
Yeah.
That is a gay running club.
Yeah. They're calling themselves the Gaytriots, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
The Gaytriots running club. Yeah, that's the gayest thing I've seen probably since Rocky 3.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and why would you say that? Why would you think that? Because we're a bunch of men running around in tight shorts with our pectorals bouncing up and down. Yeah, that is it's quite something. Hey, I've been on this beat for a long time, and sometimes the world has to catch up to you. That's the way it goes.
Yes. Between Benny, between the banana with a spoon eating David Freeman, aka Gunther Eagleman.
Yeah.
I'd say you're being proven right.
Yeah.
Proven right. Yeah.
A lot of energy. A lot of energy. I called it.
Energy in that space.
Yes, a lot of energy in that space. Well, hello, dissidents, and welcome.
2026. I predict. I should have made this one of my predictions.
Yeah.
Year of the Gaytriot.
Year of the Gaytriot. That's true. Could be. We will see. Well, hello and welcome everybody to a Tuesday matinee edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular, of course.
Hello.
Thanks,
and
everybody.
Okay, shirt. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. I think Keaton's too young.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. Well, I can't quite see it. I can't.
Well, that's kind of. It's in honor of movie night. So when I was a kid, they used to have, I loved this, but it used to scare the shit out of me. So they used to have like a horror series on the local syndication, and it was called Chiller. And basically this hand it was claymation. It would come out of the ground and eat the letters, and it would go, Chiller. So I put it on in honor of movie night.
There you go. Yes, it is Film Club tonight for the cool kids. Our presentation this evening is on Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now in honor of Russell's upcoming trip to Asia.
Yes.
So that's at 7:30. So make sure you tune in. Emails have been sent out with the links. Patreon.com/Do Dissidents if you want to join. It's not too late, of course. So that's the link right there. If you want to sign up, become a member. Film Club is tonight at 7:30, and then that is the last you'll see of us until Sunday. This is part 2 of our holiday schedule. We are off New Year's Day, but we will be, of course, back on Sunday and back to the regular schedule. So we do get another break here coming up, but we got a show today and then Film Club tonight to take us into our holiday part 2. A lot happened. It was a good decision to make Sunday our year in review show, since that was a bit of a slow news weekend. because a lot of news has broken since then. So why don't we jump right in? We have two meetings with two war criminals coming up first.
And I got a text right before the show. Obviously, we haven't had time to look into it, from friend of show Tusker McGinty, saying that we have bombed Venezuela.
There was a drone strike. Yeah, we did a drone strike off the coast. I don't know if it was on land or right off the coast, but yeah, you did tell me that, and I did check a CNN headline.
Okay, so on another front in World War III watch, Trump and Zelensky strike hopeful tone after talks as hurdles remain. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Sunday took steps toward agreeing on a proposal to end Russia's invasion, but difficult sticking points remain to be resolved, and it's unclear if Russia would agree to their recommendations. This is not a one-day process deal. This is very complicated stuff, Trump said. A lot of ins, a lot of outs. During a joint news conference with Zelensky, Trump cited one or two unresolved problems that he didn't specify. The word agreement is too strong, Trump said in response to a reporter's question about the zone. I would say not agreed, but we're getting closer to an agreement on that, and that's a big issue. Paramount to this effort is to have ironclad security guarantees from day one, European Commission President and deep state operative Ursula von der Leyen said. If things don't happen, they keep fighting and they keep dying, Trump said. In a few weeks, we will know one way or the other, I think. Trump said he would be willing to address Ukraine's parliament, acknowledging that either it or a popular referendum would be needed before any peace plan ceding territory could be concluded. President Putin was very generous in his feeling towards Ukraine succeeding, including supplying energy, electricity, and other things at very low prices. Russia is going to be helping. Russia wants to see Ukraine succeed. Under the draft plan, Ukraine would maintain a peacetime military of 800,000 troops to discourage future attacks. Moscow has said it couldn't abide such a force. Putin has demanded that Ukraine cede the entire Donbass region. Zelensky has said Ukraine will not give up any territory. Macron on Sunday said Ukraine's allies, which he called the countries of the coalition of the willing. Well, you know you're on the right side of history when you start aping language from the Bush-Cheney administration.
Yeah.
Will meet in Paris in early January to finalize each country's concrete contributions. So a few things from this press conference. Here's Zelensky saying they're agreeing on almost every point.
All the aspects of the peace framework, which includes, and we have a great achievements, 20-point peace plan, 90% agreed, and U.S.-Ukraine security guarantees, 100% agreed. U.S.-Europe-Ukraine security guarantees, almost agreed. Military dimension, 100% agreed. Prosperity plan being finalized, and we also discussed the sequencing of the following actions. And
we call this the BlackRock part of the plan, where American corporations rape my country for profit. We are almost 110% agreed on this. So Crab, who helped put together this segment, also dropped this. Now, we don't need to listen to this because it's in Ukrainian. But Ukrainian President Zelensky asked Trump for security guarantees up to 50 years when the plan envisions U.S. security guarantees for 15 years. Quote, the plan has 15 years of security guarantees. I told Trump we would very much like to consider the possibility of 30, 40, 50 years. That would be a historic decision by President Trump, during which we could rob untold amounts of American taxpayer dollars and stuff in pockets of our rich, corrupt friends. The president said that he would think about it. Okay. He said he would think about it. He wanted to know how much kickback he get, 10 or 20%. This was the real sticking point. Okay, so the libs, it's funny because, as we'll see, Zelensky just got busted a couple weeks ago. They raided the offices, exposed for being the corrupt pimp in a tracksuit that he actually is. But the libs are right back on it. Right back on it. Jay in Kyiv. Zelensky can usually remain composed during Trump's idiocy, but this time was hard. Americans have elected an absolute moron. The GOP is going to be slaughtered come midterms. Now, you know, some of that's true as far as it goes. But the one good thing there's ever been about this presidency is the chance of ending this war. So here's the moment that probably got the most attention from this press conference.
Andrea Shalal with Reuters.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So in your conversation with President Putin, did you discuss what responsibility Russia will have for any kind of reconstruction of Ukraine post an agreement?
I did. They're going to be helping. Russia's going to be helping. Russia wants to see Ukraine succeed. Once it sounds a little strange, but I was explaining to the president, President Putin was very generous in his feeling toward Ukraine succeeding.
It's a little strange. It's like when you hear a bunch of middle-aged men were hanging around with a known sex trafficker with these really young girls, but none of them understood what was going on. So it might sound strange at first, but very often truth is stranger than fiction is what they say.
Excuse me, can I get maybe Apple Box to stand on under my feet? I'm feeling a little inapt.
Energy, electricity, and other things at very low prices.
Okay, so Zelensky's side eye there, a lot was made of that. So here's a close-up on it.
To see Ukraine succeed. Once it sounds a little strange, but I was explaining to the president, President Putin.
Okay, so he went on Brett Baer, actually, to talk about this.
Russia is going to be helping. Russia wants to see Ukraine succeed.
There was a pan over to your reaction, and you kind of had your eyebrows went up, and you smiled a little bit. Yeah. You don't agree with that?
No, it's not about agree. I don't trust Russians, and they don't want. I mean, this. I don't trust Putin, and he doesn't want success for Ukraine. Really, he doesn't want. He can say it. I believe that he can say such words to President Trump. I believe in it, that he can say it, but it's not truth. Really.
I believe Trump's stupid enough to believe him.
From President Trump, more pressure with sanctions and etc. And he can say that
Trump is like Big Baby,
and I'm ready to give them cheap electricity. Really, between us, we don't need cheap. I mean, this energy because we paid so great. I mean, this price, our lives. It's not about energy. We don't need anything from them. That's why I think its message is for President Trump. Yes, to find a way how to communicate with him.
Yeah, the question was about helping with reconstruction after the war, and that Russia wants to help. And
they have to give us money.
Yeah,
they can give us money for this, and we will
and we will give everything
what we need to rebuild, and we will decide what to do.
Goldman Sachs will get the money. We all understood this is for Goldman Sachs. This war, who do not understand this. So hey, very much like Benjamin Netanyahu has a vested interest in maintaining military conflict so that he doesn't wind up in jail. So does Zelensky. And that might be why, according to reports, Ukraine launched 91 kamikaze drones at Putin's state residence. Supposedly this happened right after the Trump Zelensky press conference. So here is a little bit more on that. Says Putin's aide Yuri Yushakov says the attack on his residence took place immediately after the Zelensky-Trump talks. The attack will affect relations between Washington and Kyiv. Zelensky was advised not to even try for a temporary ceasefire after that. And according to their reports, Trump said, thank God we didn't give Zelensky Tomahawk missiles. It could have been really bad. Supposedly, that's what he told Putin. So here is Lavrov breaking down what happened during this attack. On the night of December 28th, 29th, let me bring the volume down on that. 2025, the Kyiv regime launched a terrorist attack using 91 long-range strike unmanned aerial vehicle on the state residence of the president of the Russian Federation in the Novgorod region. I'll tell you, man, after reading all these Israeli things, the kind of lugubrious way they speak is quite a relief.
Right.
There's the Chandra. Now that you can read. All unmanned aerial vehicles were destroyed by air defense systems of the Russian armed forces. There were no reports of casualties or damage from the UAV debris. We would like to point out that this action took place during intensive negotiations between Russia and the United States to resolve the Ukrainian conflict. Such reckless actions will not go unanswered. The targets for retaliatory strikes and the time for their implementation by the Russian armed forces have been determined. At the same time, we do not intend to withdraw from the negotiation process with the United States. However, given the final degeneration of the criminal Kyiv regime, which has moved toward a policy of state terrorism, Russia's negotiating position will be revised. So Trump was asked about this with war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu by his side.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they're offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it. What? Well, it came out. Well, we'll find out. I mean, you're saying maybe the attack didn't take place. It's possible too, I guess. But President Putin told me this morning it did.
One question, Mr. President. Can you explain?
All right. So now the libs are full on furious anytime that any movement is made towards peace, and yet it was we covered this. This is just a couple weeks ago. Zelensky's government sabotaged oversight, allowing corruption to fester. Ukrainian leaders blame independent advisors for failing to prevent graft. A Times investigation found that President Volodymyr Zelensky's own administration removed guardrails. You notice how silent the libs were about that when that story broke? You didn't hear a word from them. And now they're all back in like this guy is some kind of a war hero. Seymour Hersh roundly mocked. He was on this back in 2023. Zelensky embezzled $400 million from U.S. taxpayer money. Everybody mocked this guy. Took, as is customary, New York Times took him another 2 years to catch up to Seymour Hersh. So this is from Professor Zenkus. Flooding Ukraine with billions of dollars in U.S. weapons has resulted in these weapons being sold on the black market to organized criminal groups, including terrorists. Everything from grenade launchers to anti-aircraft guns, which can down a passenger plane, have been stolen and sold. The Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, an NGO that advises the UN Security Council, issued a report in September 2024 saying that the problem is getting worse and more organized, with larger stockpiles being assembled. Machine guns and pistols, too. In passing the over $180 billion in aid to Ukraine over the past 3 years, Congress rejected a bill that would audit cash and weapons transfers, meaning we have no idea where these weapons have ended up. It's especially hypocritical as liberals in the U.S., who claim to be against the proliferation of firearms, seem to have no problem with this illegal weaponry flooding the global market. The Biden administration admitted that it did next to nothing to monitor where these weapons ended up. CNN reported in April 2022 that, quote, the administration was willing to take the risk of losing track of weapons supplied to Ukraine despite a lack of visibility, as they saw it as critical to Ukraine's defeat of Russian forces, unquote. Thanks so much for that. Any suggestion that we should slow down or stop the flow of weapons to Ukraine or audit where they were going over the past 3 years has been met with attacks and derision by liberals and the Democratic establishment. Anyone who suggested we were sending too much too fast to Ukraine was called a Putin puppet or a Russian troll. Now we have a black market for deadly weapons that will be with us for years to come. We were told it would be unfair to the Ukrainian people to stop sending the weapons. Meanwhile, it has been the very Ukrainian soldiers and military personnel we have been supporting who have been caught trafficking the weapons we have given them. This says nothing of the fact that we have no idea how many billions in US dollars have been wasted already as weapons are siphoned from Ukrainian stockpiles and sold to global arms traffickers. Prolonging this war has cost US taxpayers far more than we will ever know. The pro-war Democratic establishment continues to label anyone who has demanded an end to this fight as traitors. Meanwhile, their chaotic and unregulated flooding of weapons to Ukraine has made all of us less safe. Whining that this is a fight against unwarranted aggression is all well and good until you're riding in an airplane and some psycho with a stolen rocket launcher mounted on a truck pointed at your airplane decides he has something to say. This war needs to end, and that end must include a serious attempt to track and recover the untold amount of U.S. weapons that have been stolen and sold to bad actors around the world. Sadly, it is likely that most of them will never be recovered, and we will never know the true toll. But we do know we can stop it from continuing to happen if we bring this war to an end. Enough is enough. Professor Zenkis, well done, sir. Well
Nicely done.
Nicely done. Yeah, you know, it's easy to make fun of Trump in all seasons and situations because he is such a clown. But when you look at how the liberals, man, they've learned nothing. They've learned absolutely nothing. Even with their house organ, the New York Times, just 3 weeks ago, showing incontrovertibly that Zelensky's government, just as everybody warned, just as Cy Hirsch said, was stealing money and stealing weapons and putting them out on the black market, exactly as Professor Zenka says. Look at the tweets that I shared. Look at how they're still framing this as Trump is evil for the one good thing about this administration. It is, we covered it in the year-end roundup. It's disappointing that he's continued to arm Ukraine, but we always want to be fair on this show. It looks like personally he has wanted to end this war. It must be acknowledged that you have very, very, very powerful forces that want to keep this war going. And it's not easy to put a stop to something like this. Frankly, I think the only reason that you're getting momentum now on stopping the war, and I think the New York Times got permission to go ahead and start going after this guy to pressure him to accept a peace plan, is because I think we hit the point now where more money is to be made in the reconstruction than in the continued war. So they want to shift to the next phase. They want to shift to the shock doctrine phase, where BlackRock and Halliburton all make lots of money off rebuilding what they made money on the other end destroying. And I think that's why. I think the money wants to move into that phase of rent seeking and profit making. But the liberals, man, same thing. It's like the last 3 years didn't happen.
Yeah, well, they saw that coming years in advance. I mean, we saw videos about BlackRock talking about having a hand in the rebuilding of Ukraine back in 2022, which was the year that the war began. And so that's not surprising at all. None of this is, at all surprising. I think Trump wants a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. I don't think Trump has any personal affinity for Israel. The problem with Trump is that he's owned, right? He's
Yep.
just completely
Yep.
owned, and he's ultimately a weak leader. He's not a good executive. He never has been. He's never been a good businessman. He was always a better politician than he was a businessman. He's a much better bullshit artist and showman than he is anything else. Didn't he fire off a tweet, I don't know, months back, talking about how it's okay for Ukraine to strike inside Russia? They can go in the offense. Maybe they can win, right?
Yeah.
So now he's coming back and say, well, it's one thing to strike, it's another thing to strike at his house. That's weak leadership. That is mixed messaging. That's not how you get a deal. That's not how you bring a war to a close. No, he is completely rudderless. He has no idea how to end this war. Because in fairness, I suppose at this point, the war is going to end on Putin's terms, no matter what Donald Trump has to say about anything, which is why the real fatal error was allowing this war to begin in the first place. It really is one of the great crimes of the century that this was allowed to happen, because once this started, it could really only end on Putin's terms. At that point, the things that the libs were saying about Putin at the beginning of the war, I don't want to say they become true, because they still see him as this reincarnation of Hitler with aspirations to take over all of Europe.
Right.
That's not true. I wouldn't go as far as to grant them that. But what I would say is at this point, you're going to have to grant Putin a lot more than he originally asked for, because now they're invested. Now they're invested. To end this war before it started, all you had to do was recognize the independence of the Donbass, give Russia access to the sea via the Crimea, which had already been annexed. And of course, the big one is a pledge for a long-term neutral Ukraine. Those three things would have taken this war off the table. And you would have saved not only all of this bloodshed, but all of this uncertainty now about what it's going to take to end it, because now Russia's into this for hundreds of thousands of men that they've sacrificed. So Putin can't go back to his people and say, well, we had to make a deal. They're going to be like, okay, well, is this all for nothing? Was this all, did we only get what we could have got before the war started? And if that's the case, why did we lose all of this blood and treasure? So, yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's been overshadowed to a large extent by the just sadism on display in Gaza for the past couple of years. Understandably so, obviously. But really, it is one of the great crimes of this century that this war was allowed to start in the first place. And now we're seeing a weak leader struggle to try and bring it to a resolution, and he just doesn't know what cards to play.
Well, and it could have ended a couple months in. We just had a video drop this week where Victoria Nuland admitted it. She framed it as, well, we advised them not to take the deal because we didn't like what Russia was asking for. Their demands were too high. But yeah, they're going to end up with a worse deal than they could have taken then.
Sure. Of course. No doubt about it. All right, so let's take some Rumble rants and super chats. We got 2,000 plus here in the YouTube chat. That's nice to see. 415 in the like column. So let's juice that like button a little bit here to get some more people in here on the afternoon show. Eric Rousseau says maybe Alex Jones doesn't have a penis and he's worried about a Candace investigation docuseries on bonus hole Jones. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Abiding. Matt Taibbi. I've never taken a dime from billionaires, and Johan Higgins' book calls me owned and bought. For the record, I simp for genocide for love of the game. Quote, end quote. Yes.
That's what I keep saying with that. I don't know why he thinks that explanation is better.
Yeah, I don't get it. Oh, George, thanks for the $20. Oh, George. Hey, guys, Mr. Rappaport has challenged a young, capable MMA fighter named Simba on TikTok. I'm not kidding. There appears to be a size difference, but I think he could take him. I want smoke. Thank you, oh, George. Appreciate that. All right, we got some YouTube chats.
Sure do. Mr. Shoot Skeet with the super sticker. Thank you. Sean Hurl, you are where I go for U.S. news and humor. Scott's fanboy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the way from Scotland. Danny HJ2GG. Stop being so cynical, Russell. Zelensky was just stashing that money away for veterans' benefits and health care and returning Ukrainian combatants. Wow, that remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. I guess I'll do the last one. Laferix. I've been listening to you two nearly daily since I saw you covering Jimmy's show 2 years ago, maybe. I don't know when. I appreciate both your perspective and humor. Happy New Year, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will actually, next week, we're each going to be guest hosting solo on Jimmy's show because he breeds and I travel, so we can't do it together.
Right.
We have commitments for different reasons. So I'm doing Monday on my own and Keaton's doing Friday on his own, right?
That's right.
Friday?
Yep, I'm doing Friday the 9th. Russell's doing Monday the 5th. So we will be hosting Jimmy's show next week, not co-hosting. We will each be steering the ship solo. So make sure you tune in for that. All right, let's move right on along here. All right, shout out to antiwar.com, our friends over there. Our friend Dave DeCamp wrote both the articles that I'm using for this piece. Great job, as always, covering the daily events in this collapsing world of ours. So Trump and Netanyahu, of course, met at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. Because it's the holidays, I guess Bibi got to come to the vacation home. And they talked about a number of things, none of which were good. Trump claims Israel is complying with Gaza deal 100%, despite constant IDF ceasefire violations. That's right. This was one of the topics that came up during a joint press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Florida on Monday. President Trump claimed Israel was holding up its end of the Gaza ceasefire deal 100%, despite constant IDF attacks on Palestinians in the Strip and other Israeli violations. That's right. Here he is.
Are you concerned that Israel is not moving quickly enough to phase 2 of the peace plan?
Well, I'm not concerned about anything that Israel's doing. I'm concerned about what other people are doing or maybe aren't doing. But I'm not concerned. They've lived up to the plan. They're strong. They're solid. And sometimes they don't understand when somebody violates something that you want to give them a second chance. Well, we'll give them a couple of second chances. But no, Israel's lived up to the plan 100%.
Wow.
100%, really. So, since the deal went into effect on October 10th, the Israeli military has killed at least 414 Palestinians in Gaza, according to Gaza's health ministry. 414 killed in the 2.5 months since the ceasefire went into effect. That's holding up their end 100%. Really. Wow. The IDF has continued demolitions and has expanded the so-called yellow line, the vague boundary that separates the IDF-occupied side of Gaza and the Hamas-controlled side. Israel has also maintained restrictions on aid and shelter materials entering Gaza. Trump also claimed during the press conference that the U.S. and Israel are helping the people of Gaza, even though both countries are not allowing reconstruction to take place, as civilians are living in flimsy tents and the rubble of bombed-out buildings amid harsh winter storms. In recent weeks, at least 20 people in Gaza have died due to the weather. Here's from a couple days ago, conditions in Gaza now during the very rainy winter season. So, yeah, really treating the people of Gaza very well, not allowing for any rebuilding to take place, instead allowing them to live like that. Netanyahu's visit to Mar-a-Lago marked his 5th meeting with President Trump in the U.S. this year. The two leaders praised each other, and Netanyahu announced during the press conference that Trump would receive the Israel Prize, an award presented by the state of Israel. So here he is, the first, by the way, non-Israeli recipient of the Israel Prize goes to Donald Trump. History in the making, folks, in case you missed it.
A great friend, and I've been a great friend to you and to Israel, and it's been my honor. And the award that I was given was really surprising and very much appreciated.
Well, President Trump has broken so many conventions to the surprise of people, and then they figure out, oh, well, maybe, he was right after all. So we decided to break a convention too, or create a new one, and that is to award the Israel Prize, which in almost our 80 years, we've never awarded it to a non-Israeli, and we're going to award it this year to President Trump. This was announced formally over lunch by our Minister of Education, who's responsible for the Israel Prize, is going to be awarded to President Donald J. Trump for his tremendous contributions to Israel and the Jewish people. I think it's such a fitting thing, and it would honor us, obviously, Mr. President, if you could visit Israel.
I mean, it is a fitting thing. I'll give you that. That's one of the few statements that you've ever made that's actually truthful and honest, which is that, yes, it is certainly a fitting thing that Donald Trump, Miriam Adelson's $200 million man, would be the first ever non-Israeli recipient of the so-called Israel Prize, whatever that is. But it gets worse, folks. It gets even worse. It gets even worse. And this is a mid-year prediction that I made that turned out true right before the buzzer. That's what they call a buzzer beater in basketball, just that swoosh of the net right before the calendar turns to January. Trump says he'll support an Israeli attack on Iran if Tehran continues its missile program. That's right. Widespread reporting in advance of this meeting that Netanyahu was going to use this to try and restart hostilities with Iran. And here we go. President Trump said on Monday that he would support an Israeli attack on Iran if Tehran continues its conventional missile program, conventional, notice, underline, not nuclear, or if it works to rebuild its civilian nuclear program that was damaged by U.S. airstrikes during the U.S.-Israeli war on the Islamic Republic in June. The president made the comments at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida before a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, when asked if he would back more Israeli attacks on Iran. If they continue with the missiles, yes, the nuclear fast, he said.
If Iran will not have a deal, if Iran will continue with their ballistic missiles and also nuclear weapons.
If they will continue with the missiles, yes, the nuclear fast. Okay.
Okay, so I guess what that means in moron speak is that, yes, we will eventually attack them if they deliver ballistic missiles, but if they develop nuclear, we'll do it fast. We'll do it like now. I guess that's what that means.
Yes, absolutely. The other was, we'll do it immediately.
Oh, okay. Good. We're glad we could clear that up. Glenn Greenwald tweets, Netanyahu has been signaling that he wants to bomb Iran again. No need. He already has Trump promising to do it for Israel. Not just if Iran tries to build nukes, parentheses, I thought their facilities were obliterated, but even if they replace their ballistic missiles. That's right. 3 Israeli flags as appropriate. After the meeting, Trump and Netanyahu held a joint press conference where the U.S. president again expressed support for the idea of another attack on Iran, though he suggested it wasn't confirmed that Tehran was building up again. So that first video was before the presser, and here they are on stage once again as the topic comes up.
Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup. So I hope Iran is not trying to build up, as I've been reading that they're building up weapons and other things. And if they are, they're not using the sites that we obliterated, but they're using possibly different sites. We know exactly where they're going, what they're doing, and I hope they're not doing it, because we don't want to waste the fuel on a B-2. It's a 37-hour trip both ways. I don't want to waste a lot of fuel.
Oh, you don't want to pay for gas. Okay? That's a... No wonder you won the Israel Prize. You know, hey, we would bomb them for you, but we don't want to pay for the gas. You know, it's kind of a long trip, a lot of miles. You know, spoken like a true Israeli there, I guess. Once again,
we're talking about maybe we pay for the gas and get a lifetime free tailoring. Maybe.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Can you throw in a few suits?
It hasn't been confirmed. But if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences.
Oh, yeah. Behaving. That's right.
It hasn't been confirmed. But if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences. You know, consequences will be very powerful. Maybe more powerful than the last time. Yeah. And Iran should have made a deal the last time. I gave them the option. I said, you can make a deal. Do it. I told them, do it. And they didn't believe me. Now they believe me.
Okay, so once again, just entirely obvious that this was going to happen, that they were not done with Iran. Any Israeli strikes on Iran would require U.S. support, since the U.S. military played a major role in intercepting Iranian missiles fired at Israel, though they made it through U.S. and Israeli air defenses, which is ultimately what led Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire after 12 days. The U.S. also supported Israel's attacks by refueling Israeli aircraft and then launched its own airstrikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. Amid the threats of another U.S. and Israeli attack, Iran has warned that it's ready to respond. According to Iran's press TV, the General Staff of Iranian Armed Forces warned in a statement on Monday that any renewed hostile act against the country will be met with a far harsher, more crushing, and more damaging response than in the past. So Netanyahu was very pleased with the meeting. He tweeted out afterwards, Israel has never had a friend in the White House like President Trump. His leadership, clarity, and unwavering support for Israel are exceptional. True friendship is proven in moments of challenge, and President Trump has stood with Israel every step of the way. And friend of the show, Michael Rechtenwald, notes, Trump to be awarded the Israeli prize, the first ever given to a non-Israeli. This is very fitting because Trump works for Israel. Yeah, he is the Yitzakian candidate, as we have called him in the past. And that's pretty obvious. He also called, we could have gone on forever. It was almost a half-hour press conference, but he called once again for Netanyahu to be pardoned, for the charges to be dropped. No, just clearly doing their bidding, as we knew he would, completely foreseeable. And it was also completely foreseeable that Netanyahu was going to try to manufacture consent for a second and more prolonged war with Iran. There was never really any doubt about that. It was just a question of when he would try. And the reason I set the end of the year as a deadline is because I think he's going to try and get as much done while Trump has whatever political capital remains. He's going to want to do it before the midterms, ideally, and not after. And so this was all pretty foreseeable, especially obnoxious to invite him to Mar-a-Lago during the holidays and have a sort of a year-end celebration of this genocidal criminal. But it's nothing that you couldn't have seen coming, that's for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of people paid a lot of money to be at Mar-a-Lago because they heard about the shrimp and the lobster, all the shellfish off the menu.
Right, exactly, yeah. That was inconsiderate.
Awful. Stuck with hummus.
Right.
And falafel, which isn't even Israeli, but they like to claim that it is.
Right.
Yeah. He took that 12-incher and he's getting the prize for it. Yeah, Miriam. I said, Miriam, I can't take the 12 inches, but that's the price. You want to be in the club, you got to take the 12 inches. I didn't want to do the egg. I'm a little germophobic about the egg. I could have done the egg test. Instead, I had to take the Miriam strap-on test. Russell Brand, he's a smart guy. He did the egg. I did the strap-on. You look at overall what's happening with Venezuela, with Israel. It's an absolute joke and a fraud for anyone to talk about saving or preserving democracy. You have no democracy. We can debate whether you ever did, but you certainly don't now. Right. Who voted for this? It's not this is not a Democrats versus Republicans thing. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this. You have completely lost control of the government. You literally don't have any more government, and you could argue control over the government. You could argue you have less control over the government than you would have under a monarchy. Monarchs, good ones, they're going to stick their finger in the wind and try to feel out how the people are feeling. You could have bad ones too. But what kind of control do you have over this? Seriously, what kind of control do you have over this? Did you want them to cut subsidies to healthcare? You want the country to be completely subservient to Israel? You want the country to be courting war in South America? Who voted for this? It doesn't matter what you vote for. And as we'll see in Keaton's segments, this is why they want you obsessed with what in the great scheme of things is relatively minor fraud story in Minnesota. They want you absolutely with your hair on fire about this so that you don't pay attention to the fact that this is not your country. It's not your country. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to them. It belongs to not even Donald Trump. It belongs to the people who own and run the Donald Trump psyop, whose purpose is to keep you distracted with nonsense while they strip mine the country.
Yeah, and what's especially ironic about Trump is that this is a guy who really brought back a certain nationalism and ran on an America First slogan. And I mean, you can count the organizations and even nations that he has prioritized over the American people. Not just Israel, but NATO and Ukraine. For all his chirping, he has continued to fund NATO and give weapons to NATO. Argentina, who saw that one coming? You could argue it's America fourth, not even first, not even second or third, fourth.
Yep.
Fourth. Yeah, just pretty extraordinary. All right. Let's move right on along here. Crystal Waters says, tomorrow is my birthday, boys. Oh, happy birthday, Crystal. Can I get a fun sound drop? Dealer's choice. Go ahead, Russell. Pick one. Happy New Year. Free Palestine. Fuck Israel and Ukraine. America only. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate that. A New Year's Eve baby. That's cool. I know a Christmas Eve baby. Beautiful. I know a Christmas Eve baby. I don't know a New Year's Eve baby, but happy birthday tomorrow. Percy Plath, thanks for the $20. Very kind of you. Zelensky's bringing back the leisure suit. That's right. That's right. I noticed that as well. Stoop Sign says the Israel Prize is the opposite of the Nobel Peace Prize. However, in the U.S., it is good for soup and half a sandwich. Yes, no substitutions. That's right. All right. You got any super chats?
Hang on. Yes, I do. All right. Katrina Greshner. Russ, I would be curious of your observations on East Asian attitudes towards people with physical disabilities. Feel free to ignore this if you don't have interest on this niche issue. Thanks and safe travels. Well, obviously, I can't comment on it. I haven't been there. I don't know.
Right. Well, then maybe something to keep an eye out for.
I could tell you this: people get affordable health care, unlike us.
Right.
You know what I'm paying, dude? I'm getting a deep clean, like dental thing done there. It's kind of like a leftover consequence of my years of smoking. That I have some like gum damage that has to be taken care of. All in, I think it's going to cost me like $400 for the whole thing. Dental X-rays, the clean, the treatment, the appointment, all of it, $400.
Yeah.
But the vaccinations I'm getting, nothing. I mean, you're talking about vaccines that cost $1,200 here for $30.
Yeah. Well, for the Japanese encephalitis, is that it?
Japanese encephalitis. I think, the more I've read about it, the more they're like, yeah, if you're going to be there for a long time, you might want to get a rabies shot. You got monkeys. You got the stray dogs running around.
They give rabies shots to people? I didn't know people could get rabies shots.
Yeah. Well, if you get with the rabies vaccine, you're still going to need to get treated if you get bitten.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more, it's a lot less intense if you've had the vaccine.
I didn't know they had rabies vaccines for people. I know dogs get them.
Yeah. No, if you get the vaccine instead, if you don't have a vaccine, you need to get 4 shots in like a 14-day cycle.
Yeah, they shoot you in the stomach with it. Yeah.
And you need immunoglobulin as well.
Yeah, no,
you have
rabies is very bad for you.
Don't need any of that. Well, it's 100% fatal, basically. So a lot of what I'm reading is like, yeah, man, if you're really going to be staying there for a while, you probably want to get it. So yeah, I wasn't going to get it, but yeah, I'll get that. I'll get the Japanese encephalitis. But hey, I'm going to be looking at everything in East Asia. If you saw my India videos, that's really what I'm into, like the anthropology, the sociology of the places that I go. So, now you put that on my radar, I'll keep an eye open for anything like that. Axel Strife, the U.S. is nothing more than a gun for the ruling class to wield against the world. You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. It's never been more obvious than now.
Yep.
Soon heaven. Stop the complacency. Stop the clowns in government like Trump, Bibi, Alex, Candace. Support Dr. Shiva. Truth, freedom, health. Get involved. Hey, man. All right.
Character. All right. Let's move on. Speaking of characters.
Speaking of characters. So recently, you might have noticed Alex Jones has been on the warpath. It's all coming out. Candace Owens doesn't care that she has accused a bunch of innocent people with ironclad alibis of being in a conspiracy against Charlie Kirk's life. Ashton Forbes here.
You wouldn't want to accuse innocent people of being part of a conspiracy. No.
That's that is something that Alex Jones has absolute moral authority to comment on. Ashton Forbes. I mean, when I think unfounded accusations against innocent people, who's going to stand up for them? I think Alex Jones.
The last thing he would do is smear someone who had nothing to do with the terrible event.
Yeah, he's not the kind of guy who would go after the parents of murdered children.
Right.
Ashton Forbes. I'm Team Alex all the way. Hope you have a Merry Christmas. It's alarming how many people fall for her vague innuendo, no matter how many times she's proven wrong. And Jones responds, it's sad. Now that I am investigating her, it's incredibly clear that it's all premeditated manipulation. I am completely blown away. All right. Alex on the case. So apparently he had to sit down with Laura Loomer right before this change of heart. And she kind of outed him. I bet he would have preferred that remain on the DL, but she is not the one for subtlety. Laura Loomer, I'm proud to say that I am responsible for Alex Jones seeing the light as it pertains to how malicious and insane Candace has become. A couple weeks ago, Alex Jones and I had a very long private conversation about how many ways there are to die that look like an accident. No, about some bad actors in the woke right, and Alex told me he was starting to come around to what I have been saying for the last 2 years. Eventually, more people will wake up to this psyop. Laura Loomer talking about psyops.
Yeah, I mean, that's a situation where, like, and I know, not to break your flow, but, like, who do you believe? Like, you're talking about two very untrustworthy sources now.
Well, yeah. I mean, these guys have jailhouse snitch written all over them.
Yeah.
So here's Alex Jones, man. He's going all in. Going all in on his Andy Kaufman angry man shtick.
Let me give Candace Owens a little news flash here. Bitch, you don't fucking sit up there on some hill and tell me who ate the cabbage. You don't sit there and tell me what to give you or what to do. You are suspect. You have the left boosting you, the left loving you, the left promoting you with your royal husband, who we're about to expose. So get ready for that, George. So we figured you out. We got your number, and you can't stand the fact that you've run this big psyop, and now it's coming to an end. This isn't about protecting TPUSA or Trump or anybody. It's about protecting the truth. And it's about us not sitting there dancing to the Pied Piper's lie of what you've done. Like I said, I got to investigate her now. I got a bad feeling. I didn't have a bad feeling. God gave me a good brain. I already knew. I dropped the ball. I apologize. She's a globalist agent. I dropped the ball, and I failed you, and I'm sorry. I got to follow my gut every time.
This is the one conspiracy he's very eager to debunk, right? The one conspiracy theory he wants to gatekeep is this one. Interesting. That's all I'll say.
It's never wrong. And I saw so much more she did. And I love her people threatening me and all their doxing of people and all that. You think that's going to make me go away? All you did was wake me up like a nuclear test site waking up Godzilla. So just get your asses ready. Because you want a war? I want your war. I want it all. I want the doxing. I want the lies. I want the attacks. I'm going to take you on. Because you work for the deep state and the Democratic Party and the CIA and MI6, and I see your ass. So you just get ready. This ain't my first rodeo. And I've got to focus. I focus so much on the big players. I don't focus on the little foxes that spoil the grapes. That's about it. Go look at this. So I go spend days burrowing into this stuff and find out it's all a lie. And I come out and say, Candace, I think you're being lied to. You're a wonderful person. You've been set up by Mitch Snow. No, she hadn't been set up by Mitch Snow. No. She knows every damn bit of it's a lie. And then because I have integrity and I don't sit here and make stuff up, I'm now the devil. Oh, Alex Jones is with Lockheed Martin to get me. Lockheed Martin, what do I know about that? All I know is I'm banned on everything but X and Rumble, and you're boosted on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube to everybody. I remember when I first started waking up to you about 4, 5, 6 months ago, where it was, Kenny was...
the ironic thing about that is, if you were to just start Alex Jones's career at 2024... I don't think he would be banned on any of the major platforms. This is what we talk. This is why we call him one of the sellouts of the year.
That's very true.
Yeah, this is why we called him one of the sellouts of the year, because he's definitely a different content creator post being allowed back on X. You know, I mean, this is why I've referred to this
we will
guy
get into.
Yeah, I've referred to this guy as the Cenk Uygur of the conspiracy world. This is Cenk Uygur type shit. Yeah, he's gonna come up here, he's gonna rant and scream, and I'm a fighter and I'm a warrior, but where won't he go? Won't touch Israel, won't touch Palantir, right? I don't want to step on the rest of the segment, but that's what I mean when I say he's like a Cenk Uygur type.
Confirmed. It was Saturday morning. I was going to do a 7-8 mile hike up these hills. I go meet this Navy SEAL and his buddy. We all got out of the car at 7 a.m. and we're already all listening to Candace Owens saying Kennedy is having sex with a Messiah.
Benny Johnson is already greased and oiled up, as is his custom in these little get-togethers.
She thinks, and with no evidence, and there's this woman with a car he gave her, and he's in the Epstein files, and we listened to it while we hiked. We go, this is all bullshit. No, she moved on from that, but it was right when he was getting confirmed. Her and her minions. But Candace Owens continues to make claims about Egyptian planes, and then about hit teams in Fort Huachuca and 12 colonels, and this guy wanders in, they're planning to kill Kirk, and this congressman's there, and Erica Kirk's there, and the head of their security's there, and I spent good money getting the actual flight data, the professional data, and it's like all lies. And I published it a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks, and say, hey, I'm worried here, Candace. Her surrogates, all with the same talking points within 5 hours, attacked me. I'm not dumb. Because Candace Owens is totally mentally ill and has a handler, or is a super evil globalist. That's it. And I'm done. I'm done playing games. I'm done with half measures. You guys have made your threats. Fill your hand. Let's go. Let's go. Because I'm not going to sit here and watch you engage in this type of insane crap.
I'm not going to have my good name besmirched by the likes of you.
Yeah,
I have a reputation to uphold here.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. When I immediately saw that cook ball and him saying, I walk into a room in a skiff, you don't get in those. They got armed guards and scanners and pass cards and all this. And he walks in with 12 colonels. They don't have 12 colonels for an assassination. It's all horse crap. All of it. And then as soon as they have their alibis, they're on C-SPAN. Oh, well, he was there later. No, he's there at 11 a.m. And you're
Clearly, none of you know how the kids talk, because they all talk like they just walked out of a Raymond Chandler novel. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's where I don't know where it's coming from, but they're all into 1920s pulp fiction, and they all write like that. There's nothing suspicious about those text messages at all. If you think otherwise, you're a globalist.
Cult followers don't respond to the facts. You just say, Jones is bullying a woman, and Jones is trying to ostracize her with psychological warfare. No, she puts out lies that I'm forced to go research, and I'm forced to go look at. And then when it's a lie, I nicely say, this is a lie. And just like...
Oh, look, that's from movie night.
Here's my bottom line. Candace Owens has endorsed a man with dozens of restraining orders, with fake names, admitting in court he bashes women's heads in. And she's his source.
I bashed in a few women's heads, but I don't admit it.
And at Fort Huachuca, you got all these TPUSA people with 12 colonels planning the murder of Charlie Kirk. And she tries to say she never said that. We got the compilations, dumbass. We got you saying it. You're a bad person. And I can't believe I've got to spend my time on this type of crap. We'll deal with TPUSA and whatever happened and Cash Patel with the cover-up. That's all going on. But the perfect way to cover up what really went on is this type of stuff you do. This Fort Huachuca and all this other stuff. And you got the guy you say is not the shooter. They say it's a beautiful young man. He's up there with his trans flag tie on, smiling. Pull up Tyler Robinson, the only video we got. Laughing, smiling, look like it's the devil himself. Hell yeah. We know at least 10 trannies said in 3 days before he'll be dead the day he comes there. We're not saying don't look at the investigation. What we're saying is your people have the same talk.
Stanley Kubrick knew. You ever see The Shining? You ever see they got those furries? They got those furries in the room. They knew. There's a picture of Charlie Kirk on the wall. He wasn't even born yet.
She's the only one investigating lies. So we're done with the cult of Candace Owens. So you want to play chicken with me? Don't worry. You ain't got a way to get off the road. Let me tell you how this game of chicken works. You ain't allowed to turn the wheel.
Okay, so Candace responded a little bit to this in regards to her husband. Alex Jones telling his audience, my husband is MI6 is hilarious. Guess he left the part out where I met my husband through InfoWars host Paul Joseph Watson. Here's a picture from that fateful night in December of 2018. Thank you, Alex. And Charlie Kirk is in that picture too. So, okay. So you got Candace here. asserting certain allegations. And you got Alex Jones claiming he's a truth teller who's on her trail. Who, that B is going to get it from Alex, truth telling Alex. All right. So I got to ask, who looks compromised? The one who's literally, I'm sorry, man, if you're paying any kind of attention, you go at Israel and the Mossad in the way that she is. You're literally taking your life in your hands. Alex Jones, for quite a while now, anytime the subject of Israel or Palantir, anything like that comes up, he reacts pretty funny on his show. So this is Owen Schroyer before he quit, partly because of shenanigans like this from InfoWars.
Get back to what you were saying about college, because I think it's
Hold on a second.
Hold on a second.
I just got a call from Tel Aviv. It's got the call. Stop talking about Israel right now.
Oh, it was straight out of Tel Aviv, huh?
Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu, my boss.
Are you sure it wasn't Jerusalem?
Stop right now.
Or Washington, D.C.?
I'm ordering you.
Or Trump, Gaza International?
I'm in there every day telling Owen. I have to restrain him.
Did you, are you going to take the trip, Alex? You want to go touch the wall?
I would love to go to Egypt. I'd love to go to Israel.
I could arrange that for you.
I want to go see the Great Wall of China. I mean, I'm going to work with Xi Jinping. Yeah, no, I would love to go see Golgotha where Christ was crucified. And I would love to do all that.
Would you kiss the wall? Like Vance?
Oh, I'm not going to stick my dick in it like the rest of them do.
Yeah, I mean, to troll people, yeah.
That'd be a good troll.
Just be a troll. Just trolling people.
I would do the opposite thing. I would refuse to touch the wall to troll people.
No, listen, that's a Titus destroyed that in 70 AD. So you can't hate those people. And we say we're not Judeo-Christian. I know that. We are Christian. But the point is, it does Abrahamic religion and all that. We can't. You even hate the Jews of 2,000 years ago. My point is.
My point is,
are we
stop
having a history
talking about
discussion
this.
now?
My point is,
do we have to do this now?
My point is, I've been sued for over $1 billion fucking dollars. You know how much money that is. Shut up.
This job was a lot easier back when we could just look at Bill Gates 20 times a day and say, look at him with the vaccines and Davos and all that.
God damn it. I miss the days we could just talk about what the queers were doing to the soil.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bunch of the bad stuff Israel does. We don't have to hate people. What's wrong with the solidarity? J.D. Vance also goes to the Catholic Church. He's Catholic. You go say hi to the Pope or whatever. My point is, you think somebody's bad if they go do this?
Well, Vance visits the Pope. What happens? Pope dies.
Oh, you think he killed him?
He visits India. Nuclear war is about to break out. He dropped the trophy. He broke the trophy.
Is he the Antichrist?
Isn't it just funny, though, how nobody's talking about that Pakistan-India situation? It's like it barely, there was a huge...
All right, so clearly, Alex tries to work it as a bit, but that was one of the more uncomfortable moments of television because it was so clear, or streaming, it was so clear that he's bought. That whatever the hell they were, them talking about Israel and people going to the wall, he literally goes out there, pretends it's a bit, tries to make a joke out of it. Oh, yeah, I just got the call from Tel Aviv. But clearly, the only reason he's out there is to redirect that conversation.
Of course.
So why, and everybody who touches the walls, why would Alex Jones do that? Why would he do that? And then we have it on our opening intro now. No, why you hear Palantir. He's been trying to minimize Palantir all through the year. Right from the beginning of the Trump administration, Alex Jones has almost been the lone voice telling people don't look at Palantir in his lane. Here he is with, it seems like he wants access to Fuentes' audience, but he doesn't actually want him saying what Nick Fuentes says on his show because he seems to have him on a lot, but he shuts him down whenever he starts talking.
Is interesting. I'm more concerned about this suite of companies, though, like Palantir, which is they're feeding all of the data over to Palantir so they can manipulate it with algorithms. And they're everywhere. They're looking at the wastewater during the COVID pandemic.
But you're back to this. I've looked at the scale of Palantir, and it's tiny compared to DeepSeek and all these others and ChatGPT, and I'm not like defending Peter Thiel. I'm just saying it's like I get it from the liberals and the Israel obsessed, whatever you want to call it. So, wait, just Palantir.
They have an enemies list. They have an enemies list of 2 to 3 million people that they've identified as potential violent extremists. And this is being run by Alex Karp. Alex Karp said his biggest fear is that Christian nationalists will take over the government and throw him out of a window, defenestrate him because he's Jewish. He's running Palantir. Palantir has an enemies list of 3 million people.
So Alex Karp doesn't like you?
I don't think so. I don't know him, but probably not.
But you don't want to throw him out of a window?
I don't want to throw him out of a window. But I don't think he should control Palantir. I don't think he should control military procurement. That's my concern. And Peter Thiel, I mean, he's a suspicious character also. He says he's a Christian, but he's a gay man. He says he's a Christian, but he's really involved with this Rene Girard, who's sort of an interesting philosopher who's involved with a lot of the Straussians out there at the Hoover Institute. So these are two guys I don't
Yeah, Karp's got a degree, basically, in classical Western civilization.
But what is Western to these people? You know, according to Harry Jaffa, Western means protecting Israel. And that's who they're all.
And van der Leyden said that too.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't really be more obvious that he's running cover and who he's running cover for. This is the kind of thing the old Alex Jones would have been all over, right? Trump taps Palantir to create master database on every American. That's what's so jarring about it, because Alex Jones was talking this shit 25 years before anybody else, right? He was a pioneer in calling out the globalist conspiracy. In fact, in this very infamous clip, Alex Jones, this is the day after 9/11, is blaming Israel. The next day, September 12th.
I don't support the Palestinians either. They're all hyped up and psychotic. But Israel's going to get us nuked, always backing them up like this. Israel calls the Palestinians goyim or cattle or dogs or subhuman. They keep them on.
All right. Sit down, Shagets. Sit down. They call them all goyim. It's not just the Palestinians. You're a goyim. They're a goyim. If you're not Jewish, you're a goyim. It's not a Palestinian thing.
Concentration camps. I got video of them taking Palestinian women's tomatoes they grow and breaking their water containers and stealing. That's why you have this crap. And our children are going to die. We're going to get nuked because of this. Iran's got the nukes now. Syria. We're going to have nuclear war because Israel likes to go around bombing everybody. I'm sorry. It's just the facts. And Israel absolutely is beside itself with joy right now. They are talking about how they're going to blow everything up, how they're going to attack everybody, and guess who's going to get bombed because of it? I have been supportive of Israel for many years. When I found out what they do, shooting little Palestinian children in the genitalia and laughing, it's on video. Little 10-year-olds walk around throwing rocks at tanks. A guy sits off a half mile away and blows their testicles off. They call them goyim. They call them dogs. They call the Arabs cattle. And then the corrupt Arab governments that are in league with this government, it's really a sick Hegelian dialectic, order out of chaos, bringing the world crises, bringing them terrorism, so we'll accept a highly dictatorial police state regime. It's happening.
Wow. Compare that to this banger he just dropped.
I don't always hang out on Christmas Eve or New Year's with my boo-boo. When I do, I hang out with this little particular guy right here. He's not a Democrat. He's not a Republican. He's a populist. He's a freedom fighter. He's a libertarian. He believes in team humanity. And, well, he likes InfoWars, Alex Jones, and Elon Musk. But most importantly, he likes 6'7". 6'7",
and Elon Musk.
Baby. That's right, going to 2026. 6'7", then the year 2027. 6'7", 6'7", 6'7", 6'7", 6'7", 6'7".
Yeah. Die a hero or live long enough to be a lobotomized moron. But hey, we know what this is about. It's not hard to figure out what this is about. Yo, man, you get sued for that kind of money. you're on the air. How are you on the air? Who's keeping you on the air? Why are you on the air? Alex Jones eyes SCOTUS over $1.3 billion judgment. He's thinking about going to the Supreme Court about that judgment. And this August, a judge ruled, if you remember last year, The Onion was going to buy it, but then a judge ruled that the process of the auction for InfoWars was unfair, so that deal got voided. But a judge just ruled that InfoWars will go up for sale yet again. All right. Who gets sued for $1.3 billion? As a $1.3 billion debt. It has their operation under receivership and is still on the air. Who is putting Alex Jones on the air? Well, he's on Rumble and he's on X, right? So who's he not going to go after? Well, Elon, just like Trump, I don't think he has any love of Israel. I think they got something on him. Clearly, he was speaking one way, and we know how Elon is. He doesn't like to be told what to do. It's got to be pretty good. Whatever vice they got his balls in, it's pretty tight one, man, because he did the whole thing. He put on the kippah. He had Ben Shapiro taking him around Auschwitz. When they told him clearly to just crank all the Islamophobic Zionists to the top of the algorithm 2 weeks before the Mamdani election in New York, he did what they told him to do, so went away after the election. You stopped getting like every freaking thing in your feed was one of those people. Yeah, man. Alex, this is how he earns. This is how he earns. And they told him what he can say and what he can't say. They took the credibility that he built with a certain audience and they're turning it against itself. They're having him use that language of conspiracy on behalf of the same people he used to go after. They broke him, man. They own him. They own him. The guy owns $1.3 billion. Like, it's not hard to figure out. Like, it's not even something to question or debate about. Obviously, Alex Jones is owned by the same people that he used to go after, and they tell him, yeah, you can stay free, you can keep your show, even if they take away the InfoWars, we'll keep you going, we'll keep you on X, we'll keep you on Rumble, we'll just build you a new set, we'll call it something else, you'll be fine, but this is what you got to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, that seems to be an arrangement, whether spoken or tacit. That certainly seems to be the arrangement. I was watching his son's show, Gray Area, with Rex Jones, who we're going to have on the show because he's a longtime fan and super chatter of the show. So we're going to have him
future
on
guest host.
Yeah, in a couple weeks. But he was saying on one of the shows about how, because when you're in bankruptcy, you can't just live normally. There's very strict rules governing like what you're allowed to buy and what you're allowed to own. Apparently, there's some homestead law in Texas that you're allowed to keep, a house and a horse. In this case, a house and a car. That can't be taken from you in like bankruptcy litigation and stuff. But aside from that, yeah, no, I mean, he is very, very strictly like policed in terms of how he can live, and when that puts you in a compromised situation, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious. And so, like we called him at our year-end show, he's basically Feech Lamana. He's allowed to earn as long as he doesn't step on any toes. And Peter Thiel's toes are some big toes, so are Elon's toes. And look, Israel is all mixed up in all of this, right? Like there doesn't need to be a directive. It's understood at a certain echelon that this is the order, and you don't disrupt the order. And you could put on your little show if you want, but you can't take it places that really these times demand you take it, because it's being forced into the conversation in a way that's obviously very uncomfortable for Alex Jones. That's why he has to barge onto the set when they're making fun of JD Vance for kissing the wall. Like before October 7th, this wasn't in the conversation every day. It was easy to just cosplay as this, David Icke.
Bill Gates is putting a microchip in the vaccines.
Exactly. You hit those notes over and over again, and this doesn't come up, and nobody really cares if you talk about that. And so, fine, all right, whatever. These are different times. These are different times, and yeah, when you look at the way the conservative media has fallen in line behind the Charlie Kirk narrative, with the exception of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, it's very, very similar to the force the vote rift. It's very similar to a lot of the infighting on the progressive or anti-establishment, if you will, side of left politics and left media, where you see that most creators, come election time, come the time when the chips are down, will coalesce around the big macro narrative that they are supposed to coalesce behind. And those who aren't, what happens? They get called closet Trumpers, closet right-wingers, just like now. He said the left is supporting Candace. Oh, she's a closet leftist. It's the same exact thing. Trumpers carrying water for the left. That's what they say. They say to left-wing dissidents who won't, conform to the Democrat narrative. They say, well,
you're right wing.
The other side, you're a right winger. That's exactly what they're saying.
And then when you point out that you're
for the left,
when you point out that you're to their left, they say it's horseshoe theory.
Right. Exactly. All right. Let's move right on along here. Take some Rumble rants. EO shush. I worry about what's going to happen to America these next 3 years, but seeing Jew, Hitler, and Orange Mussolini together, I thought things are going to turn out fine. Thank you, EO shush. Vance is prime.
Together at last.
Yes. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Soon it'll be a new year, which means a whole new set of lies. Thank you, Vianticus. Eric Rousseau, the peace president, peace through bombing. We bomb Venezuela and Iran for peace. That's right. Thoughts on Caleb Maupin's thesis about sea civilizations versus land civilizations? I have no clue.
Man, I'm trying to have lunch with that guy before I leave. I wanted to, so I could ask him that. I'll ask him that at lunch.
Yeah, I have no clue.
I'm not aware of it. Is this like a Doctor Who thing?
Yeah. Are we going to get some Tomb Raider dobular footage? That will be interesting. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
I assume
I'll have to bring the hat.
Because says thanks to the $20, you're going to read Weird Scenes by David McGowan. It's about the 60s Laurel Canyon music and art scene was a CIA op. Morrison, Crosby, Zappa all had parents in the industrial military complex, Deep State.
Hang on, you're talking about weird Tales from the Valley? Because I have that.
Weird Tales from the Canyon, right?
From the Canyon, yeah, I read that.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
All right, let's take some super chats.
MTN Stardust Studio, Boostworthy, Over the Top, Soon Heaven. Candace is hardly a clown, probably the most courageous person in politics today. That's what I'm saying, man. There are much easier ways to make money than to go against these people. And Alex Jones is taken that way. Kuznetsky Bassane, Happy New Year, DD. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
This is our last show of the year. Yeah. MTN Star Studio, Agent AJ, Alex Jones, Integrity, LOL, got the call. Oh, yeah, he got the call, all right. It's pretty obvious. Alea, Alex Jones did not get doxxed by Candace, laughing my ass off. He's just jealous she's surpassing him in the conspiracy realm, and she's better at it and more popular. She doesn't need bots. There's actual public interest. Well, because she's actually, in my opinion, telling the truth, like Alex used to. That's amazing that he was saying that after 9/11. Like, he's saying a lot of things that now are in the mainstream discourse, as much as Zionists might not want it to be. Nobody was saying shit like that back then. Nobody was talking about atrocities against Palestinians like that. Hobo Jesus, Alex Poole or Tim Jones? Go Candace. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Soon Heaven, DD, keep up the great work exposing these clowns. Thank you.
Thank you
want to
very
do
much.
some rants?
I got rants. I did rants.
Oh, you got them already?
Yeah. So
why do I keep missing that?
Yeah, you keep missing that.
Keep missing it.
But all right. So let's get into the huge story of yesterday. Out of nowhere, slow news cycle became,
or as we call it, our subscriber killer story.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. News is always kind of slow around the holidays, but yesterday, if you were on Twitter, you saw this story everywhere. So we're going to do this story in two parts, and they're going to be clipped separately. The first is going to be the story. The second is going to be the signal boosting and psyoping around this story. So if you're watching this in clip form, be sure to look out for part 2, which we will drop shortly after part 1. So For part one, let's turn back the clock about a month ago when the New York Times printed this story. How fraud swamped Minnesota's social services system on Tim Walz's watch. The fraud scandal that rattled Minnesota was staggering in its scale and brazenness. Federal prosecutors charged dozens of people with felonies, accusing them of stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from a government program meant to keep children fed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Over the last 5 years, law enforcement officials say fraud took root in pockets of Minnesota's Somali diaspora as scores of individuals made small fortunes by setting up companies that billed state agencies for millions of dollars worth of social services that were never provided. Scores, of course, means 20, a group of 20. So we're up to, I think, 59 have been convicted, and overall about 80 some odd have been charged. Federal prosecutors say that 59 people have been convicted in those schemes so far, and that more than $1 billion in taxpayers' money has been stolen in 3 plots they are investigating. That is more than Minnesota spends annually to run its Department of Corrections. Critics of the Walz administration say that the fraud persisted partly because state officials were fearful of alienating the Somali community in Minnesota. Governor Walz, who has instituted new fraud prevention safeguards, defended his administration's actions. The episode has raised broader questions for some residents about the sustainability of Minnesota's Scandinavian-modeled system of robust safety net programs bankrolled by high taxes. Now, why would people in this administration and the oligarchs who fund it want to raise questions about a Scandinavian model social safety net? Why would they want that? That system helped create an environment that drew immigrants to the state over many decades, including tens of thousands of Somali refugees after their country descended into civil war in the 90s. The first public sign of a major problem in the state's social services system came in 2022, when federal prosecutors began charging defendants in connection to a program aimed at feeding hungry children. Merrick Garland, Attorney General during the Biden administration, called it the country's largest pandemic relief fraud scheme. You mean this story is actually ongoing and a few years old? You wouldn't have known that looking at Twitter yesterday. You'd have thought their new gay crush, this Nick Shirley guy, just blew the lid off of a conspiracy hidden in plain sight. But no, actually, the Biden administration was prosecuting a lot of these fraud cases. The prosecutors focused on a Minneapolis nonprofit organization called Feeding Our Future, which became a partner to dozens of local businesses that enrolled as feeding sites. State agencies reimbursed the group and its partners for invoices claiming to have fed tens of thousands of children. In reality, federal prosecutors said most of the meals were non-existent and business owners spent the funds on luxury cars, houses, and even real estate projects abroad. Okay, so broadly speaking, that is the scam, right? You have these daycare centers, these child care centers invoicing the government for money that was not spent, and instead they funnel it to themselves and, buy all kinds of shit with the money. So enter Nick Shirley, like I said, MAGA's new heartthrob here. The full 42 minutes of my crew and I exposing Minnesota fraud. This might be my most important work yet. We uncovered over $110 million in one day. Like it and share it around like wildfire. It's time to hold these corrupt politicians and fraudsters accountable. We all work way too hard and pay too much in taxes for this to be happening. The fraud must be stopped. Now, if you look underneath that video caption there, 126.4 million views. 100+ million views for this video on X. So let's take a little bit of a look at some of what's in here. Different Twitter handles made different compilation cuts. This gives you kind of an idea of what he was up to.
Leering Center. I meant to say this is Quality Leering Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open
They
up!
said they spelt learning wrong. Have you ever seen children at that daycare center right there?
Where?
Yeah, it's right there. It says the child. You've never seen daycare.
I haven't seen anybody here.
Children here in your child care?
Which child care, ma'am? Is a lot of
Minnesota Child Care right here. It's from the state of Minnesota's website. We're just wondering where the children are.
Where the children are?
Yeah, where are the children? It says you have 102 children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding.
Ask where the money's going.
Okay, now I want you, just before we get into all this, because we're going to get into this, I want you to ask yourself what the reaction would be if a crew of independent black journalists showed up to majority white daycare centers with video cameras and demanded to see the children inside. Why don't you just imagine what the reaction to that would be? How that would go. I think it would go very, very badly in ways that I don't wish upon anybody. I mean, thank God I don't support any kind of violence. But if a black indie journalism crew approached a majority white daycare center and demanded to see the children inside and something terrible happened to them, I guarantee you the same crew of MAGA grifters who think this is great journalism would say that they had it coming. I could guarantee you that. How dare you show up at our family's children daycare centers and demand to film our children? That's a predator, right? So just think of that. Think of the reaction. You know, it's sometimes
black predators show up at daycare centers.
Exactly. That would be the narrative. No question about it.
I would like to check a child in the daycare. Why? Can I speak to a manager? Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare.
And after a few questions, the lady went silent.
Looks like little Joey Shirley ain't going to daycare here. We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which has its license for 74 kids, was paid $1.26 million in tax money. And there are no kids, and all the facilities are the same way. All of them.
Let's see if anyone opens.
Yeah, let's see.
Once again, I try to find a spot for my son Joey, and they would not open the door.
I want to put my son Joey in daycare. Cuz I need a spot to put my son Joey.
Yes.
Is this your daycare center?
No, I work there. What's happened?
I just want to put a child in daycare, but all the daycare centers seem to be closed. No one's opening the doors.
You work here?
I was, yeah. What's happened?
Where are the kids?
Yeah?
It says it's licensed for 74 children. Right here, state of Minnesota. Where are the kids? They got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When?
Where are the kids? Right here. State of Minnesota website.
Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
No! You're a liar. I'm the owner.
Okay, so that's a couple minutes, kind of a good representation of what this video was. And like I said, 126 million views, because this was signal boosted by just about every influential account. Of course, JD Vance being one of them. He quote tweets it. This dude has done far more useful journalism than any of the winners of the Pulitzer Center prizes. And then here are some of the accounts that have reposted this. So Ted Cruz, Gabo Montiel, Dinesh D'Souza, James O'Keefe. Those are all 3+ million follower handles there. Tom Fitton, Mario Naufal, Leo Terrell, Terrence Williams, Bill Ackman, Sebastian Gorka, Riley Gaines, Jillian Michaels, all multi-million follower handles. So this was boosted by just about everyone in this space, this sort of right-wing space with a huge following. This was really pushed out there extremely aggressively. Now, within the video, sort of video within the video, this is formatted for TikTok, obviously. This clip went especially viral. So here he is outside of the Quality Leering Center, or Luring Center, as the misprinted sign would read.
The massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong and they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. And if you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out.
Now notice, just flag this in your mind. There's a sign on the door there, and we don't get to see what the sign on the door says in this video. That'll come up soon.
No one's working midday. Children should be in here, and this place is licensed for 99 children, and this is the outside. There's no windows, no nothing. And like I said, they literally spelt the word wrong on their sign. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is complicit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here inside of Minnesota. $1.9 million for this daycare center that can't even spell learning right.
You know, it stinks that this is happening to the Somali population. You don't want to smear the Somali population at all. No, that's not.
Well, and apparently he hasn't heard about the disease that afflicts some Somalis where they can't lean.
Yeah, right. So here is Lou Ragoose. Twist. After Nick Shirley's viral video showing Somali-run daycares in Minneapolis that receive millions in taxpayer money having a lack of children, the Quality Luring Center opened this afternoon with dozens of kids dropped by vans. So let's see. The plot thickens.
Talking about the viral video by YouTuber Nick Shirley visiting Somali-run daycares in Minnesota that receive millions in taxpayer money and showing a lack of kids present. Well, I have a strange twist for you. The daycare that's getting the most attention from Shirley's video is the Quality Learning Center, misspelled as Quality Luring Center. While answering questions today,
that's even worse. I thought it was
in
leaning.
charge of licensing daycares claimed that the Quality Learning Center permanently closed 1 week ago, which would have been before Shirley filmed his video. Listen.
I will share that our team was notified that Quality Learning Center closed just over a week ago. And I believe the details that were given at that time were around space concerns. And that's what was shared.
But after that press conference, we went back to the Quality Learning Center and vans were dropping off dozens of children. Parents and a manager told us the daycare is open and is legitimate. We saw state inspectors leaving, and we hope to find out by the end of the week if they made any new findings. I'm Lou Ragoose. Follow for more news.
Right, so that's kind of peculiar. You have a city officials explaining this as well. The site was closed, and then in the afternoon, you start seeing children start to arrive. So is it closed? Is it not closed? What's with the kids being dropped off? So the New York Post sends a reporter here to ask what's going on.
Don't come to this area. What's your response to the allegations? Is there fraud going on here? No, it's a video. I just want to know what's your response. Huh? Get the out of here. What's your response to the allegations? Is there fraud going on here, and is there children? That's all. Don't harass me over here.
Well, so there were obviously children going in. You could see in back of them. Now, once again, I just asked you. I mean, you would never see this because we know what the reaction would be if you were to see this. Yeah. Imagine a black camera crew coming in and filming a white daycare. If you even pointed a camera at a white child in this way, it would be a scandal on Fox News. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I don't want to hear any bullshit about fuck off. Just eat it.
Well, you know what? We've been doing this long enough. I can give you the bullshit right now. Yeah, you know what? White people don't defraud the government.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I already know. Like, you can already see it in advance, right? Okay. So a manager of a Minnesota daycare is basically saying that Nick Shirley and his team visited the facility outside business hours. He clearly is gaslighting because Nick and his team were there in the middle of the day when daycares are normally open. Okay, so now they interview the manager of this Quality Learning Center. So let's take a look.
That's been going on the last couple of days has been really dishonest. I don't want to point fingers at anybody, but I do feel like what was done was someone came to our building outside of operating hours. When there's a specific sign on our door that says our days and our hours, he came outside of those hours and then claimed, hey, they're closed.
Oh, so is that what the sign on the door says? That's what the sign on the door says. So in the wide version of the shot, you could see, because that was clipped for TikTok, obviously, but it was filmed in widescreen. So in the wide version of the shot, you see that right there. That's the sign on the door that we weren't allowed to see.
Wow.
Apparently, it says Quality Learning Childcare, hours of operations, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. So apparently it's an after-school location, which means it may have been closed if you were there before 2 o'clock. And if you look, here, according to this handle, which is too small to see, I'll give him credit in the next slide when I see it. Looks like he's there around 1 o'clock. That looks like it says what? 103, 104. It looks like the first 2 digits on the phone time are 10 something, which means it looks like they were there about an hour before it opened. So Andrew Mercado, there we go. I went back and reviewed Nick Shirley video alongside photos from the actual locations. Once you line everything up, the story changes. At Quality Learning Childcare, the hours are posted right on the door, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. In the video, the visit happens before 2 p.m. The sign is not shown. The camera lingers on a closed door, and viewers are left to assume something is wrong. Later in the same video, the creator is inside a completely different building, the Griggs Midway building. The directory screen is on camera, and it clearly shows a time 2:33 p.m. That detail matters. It confirms the filming was happening throughout the early afternoon, which means the earlier closed visit was not evidence of fraud or a shell operation. It was evidence of someone showing up before businesses opened. These are different locations, but the same technique. Leave out hours, skip timestamps, let implication do the work. Yeah, it's a red flag that we weren't allowed to see the sign in this video.
But massive fraud is taking place.
You're investigating, right? You're investigating it. You don't show us what that sign says on the door. You don't bother to point. You don't bother to take a look and point the camera at what that sign says. You don't think a sign on the door may be an explanation as to why there's no one in there? Like, you ever hear of back in 5 minutes, hours of operation? These are things that are commonly posted on the outside doors.
Yeah, well, he knew. He knew. How could they not know? What? They didn't read the sign?
Right.
He just straight up ran a con, knowing that there are a lot of people out there who are very hungry for this kind of narrative. And you know, hey, fair is fair, man. Tony Dokapil better watch his back because this kid's coming for him.
Yeah,
there's
that's
one
right.
place that's gonna respect this kind of journalism. It's gonna be ZBS under Barry Weiss. They're gonna hire this kid.
Now, the one part of this, of course, that is suspicious and is odd is that the city official apparently was under the understanding that this location was closed. And so if they're saying it's closed and yet it's not closed, well, that's a little odd. And might that be grounds for some further investigation? Sure, given the fact that, yes, of course, the New York Times broke this story that there has been rampant fraud in the Somali community in Minnesota. Okay, so fine. So let's just say that, you know, that sort of sleight of hand aside, big picture, there is something here. There's something that warrants investigation of these daycare centers, right? Which is, again, that's not in and of itself, that's not necessarily an unreasonable claim given what has transpired. Not these past few weeks, by the way, since Donald Trump has started screaming about Somalis, the past few years. Don't forget, the investigation into this started in 2022. Let's talk a little bit more about fraud, shall we? Let's talk a little bit more about fraud. So here is Scott Jennings, doing his dance for the MAGA chuds on CNN. And then Abby Phillip brings up some inconvenient details for MAGA warriors very concerned about rooting out fraud from our system.
Is someone in a position of power going to go to jail for the rampant
hold on a
fraud?
second.
You can put all the low-level people in jail you want, but until
Trump-
somebody in charge goes to jail, it
Trump
won't
has
stop.
pardoned Devin Archer, $60 million in forfeiture and restitution wiped away. He has pardoned Trevor Milton, who committed fraud, lied to his shareholders. $660 million that was supposed to go back to shareholders, wiped away. Carlos Watson also defrauded people. $97 million in penalties, wiped away. David Gentile, $1.7 billion in a Ponzi scheme fraud. Okay? Sentence commuted. Again, fraud is bad.
Right.
Fraud should be prosecuted. The people responsible for it should be prosecuted. But this president is pardoning and commuting the sentence of fraudsters all the time. Recently. Where is that energy? Where is that same energy?
I have no defense for anybody who commits fraud. Fraud is bad.
That wasn't the question. That was not the question as to whether you condone fraud or don't condone fraud. The question is, of course, where is the smoke for all of these high-level fraudsters that Donald Trump has let skate knowingly and willingly? let's take a look at this guy here. Philip S. Formas has 20-year sentence in fraud case commuted by Trump. 20-year sentence. This one didn't get mentioned on CNN. Philip S. Formas, the former assisted living and skilled nursing facility owner who was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his role in a case that the federal government valued at $1 billion, which is the sum attributed to all of these fraud schemes combined, according to the New York Times, and described as the largest healthcare fraud scheme charged by the U.S. Justice Department, had his sentence commuted by President Donald Trump last night. This was, of course, in the lame duck period in 2020. This was December of 2020. It's one of two new commutations with assisted living connections. While in prison, Mr. Formas, who is 52, has been devoted to prayer and repentance and is in declining health, the White House said in the announcement. He has been devoted to prayer and repentance. So let's see, how's that prayer and repentance going? Oh, this from last year. Another Trump clemency recipient faces domestic violence-related charges. Philip S. Formas is at least the 7th person to be charged with new crimes after receiving a second chance in the last days of the Trump administration. So at least 7 of the people who Trump pardoned or let out of jail early in the last days of his first term have been arrested now for subsequent crimes. No smoke for them. Who could forget this guy? The new face of the GOP healthcare fix is Senator linked to largest Medicare fraud scheme in United States history. I'll link to a video that Russ did in the comments where he put together a presentation on the details of this. Senator Rick Scott is warning fellow Republicans of a slow creep towards single-payer health care if they don't craft an alternative to the Affordable Care Act. Now, this guy was not charged in that scheme, but he did have to resign from his company for what was obvious, blatant Medicare and Medicaid fraud. Again, not much mention of that in conservative media nowadays. But let's just be honest with ourselves and each other as to what this is really about. At least in the propaganda realm, there's a lot more to this story that we'll see in another segment. But this basically says the quiet part out loud here, and it's a not so quiet part. Nick Shirley, very, very eager to make this statement on Fox News.
When I was your age, I used to watch all the local news stations, and every local news operation had a guy, a roving reporter, who would go around and find waste, fraud, and abuse. Are there local reporters like that in your area, and why do you think they weren't doing the work that you did?
I don't know.
Standards and practices.
Called, nowadays, because it's Somalians that are committing this fraud, people are scared to be called Islamophobic, racist, in which has nothing to do with what's going on, because fraud is fraud. It doesn't matter if it's a black person, white person, Asian person, Mexican. Fraud is fraud, and we work too hard simply just to be paying taxes and enabling fraud to be happening.
You don't say.
See, that's why this is such a big story, and that's why it's so popular with people like Elon Musk, who have been tweeting nothing but nonstop white grievance for the last few weeks. J.D. Vance, who made a speech at Turning Point USA, which he proudly proclaimed, you don't have to apologize for being white in America anymore. They love this narrative. They love coming up and saying, we used to be afraid of being called racist, and we don't have to be afraid anymore. That's not working anymore, which is interesting because if you look at all of the different election results over the past year, it seems to have been working quite well. Seems to be working quite well as the Republicans are doing Obama-level numbers with non-white voters because of shit like this. But no, they love an opportunity to insist that you can call us racist all you want. It's not going to work anymore. We're tired of working hard and having Somali daycare centers steal our money. And yeah, man, the 2 minutes hate was all over Twitter yesterday, including this prancing fairy who for some reason is running across a bridge in the snow while making this point. Why you can't just like stay in one place and talk to the camera, I don't know. This is a peculiar display.
Proud to say I'm from Minnesota again.
Where are you running to?
We welcomed people into this community, into this state, and they're stealing from us. They're stealing from you.
Did you just steal a candy bar from the gas station? Why are you running for? What a character this guy is. He's running down the road, talking to the camera.
People into this community, into this state, and they're stealing from us. They're stealing from you. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care
Run
what
in
political affiliation
You're running
you
like you just got caught hot wiring a car.
claim to be a part of. This child care center fraud is an abomination, and it should upset every single Minnesotan.
Is this guy's
People
gimmick?
that steal from you
he runs while
are
he talks?
not your friend. People that take advantage
What is
of
this?
you are not your friend, are not a part of your community. And it's time to drop this Minnesota BS, this Minnesota nice, and start standing up for our state. Start standing up for what we believe in.
We
so
need
can
to
be
grab
proud
to throw
to
them out
stand
into the
firm in
field.
who we are
Like
in Minnesota and what we
that's
stand
not
for.
That's not where he's going with that.
No. Okay, listen. I mean, I guess that was good enough to go viral. Here, take it from a professional.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it worked.
It worked. I guess it worked.
It worked, right? Like if he had been standing still, he would have gotten 120 views on that.
Yeah, exactly. For some reason, the guy's
People
running.
just watched it because that's it. Like, why is he running?
Why is he running? Yeah. What is he running for?
People just showed it around. Can you explain why this guy's running?
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's a professional. Standing still. Benny Johnson growing a beard. Which why would a guy like Benny Johnson need a beard? Why would he need a beard?
He already has a beard. He's married.
Yeah, I don't understand it. He's growing a second beard. Here is Benny Johnson. Again, same type of message. We work too hard to have our money stolen by Somali daycare centers.
Last couple of days as American taxpayers, that you and I, who were born in this country, whose parents and grandparents built this country, fought in our wars, created our economy, we get to work our entire lives, our finger to the bone, break our backs, pay taxes. 50% of our income goes directly to the government. Then we're taxed on everything that we spend, property taxes and so on. So many taxes, you're ending up paying tens of thousands of dollars of taxes per year. That's millions of dollars of taxes for your life, many millions. And at the end of it, when you're all said and done, all those taxes go to
Israel,
the Quality Learning Center.
Good guess. Good guess. But no, it's the Quality Learning Center. That's where all those taxes go. That's where all your taxes go to. All your taxes go to. You see what they're doing? Really dialing up the resentment. Here's this guy with the cross, on the bottom of his neck, calling for the deportation of tens of thousands of Somalis. Keep in mind, fewer than 100 have been charged in this. Out of a community of 80,000, fewer than 100 have been charged, 59 convicted.
Shortest video I've ever done in my life.
Well, that's
based on
good.
what we've all seen in Minnesota. If tens of thousands of Somalis are not deported back to their third world country, and if government officials like Tim Walz and other people in Minnesota are not sent to jail or at least indicted, let me just say this. This administration, the concept of Make America Great Again, and for that matter, the rule of law, are all completely full of shit. Nothing else to say. Full stop. Case closed.
No, this is not a Christian nationalist, Christian fascist movement at all. No, guy with the gold cross hanging from his neck, talking about how tens of thousands of people need to be deported over a fraud scheme involving fewer than 100.
And for those who have claimed that I look like a reject from a vampire soap opera, Sunlight and Cross.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Debunked. And then, of course, you have guys like this going on very self-righteous rants turned comedy bits. This guy's got jokes. Let's take a look at this.
Straight. So I'm an American. I'm born here. I'm raised here. I fight for this country. I stand up for this country. I speak the language. I was indoctrinated as a kid. Since I was a child, being told, I'm the problem because I'm a white. I'm the problem because I'm a man. I'm the problem because I'm straight. I'm losing.
Nobody called you straight. I don't think anybody called you straight. In fairness, okay. Way to slip that in. No, I kid. Most of these MAGA influencers give off major gay vibes. This guy actually doesn't. He doesn't, if I'm being honest, which is unfortunate because he has an asshole on his chin. So it would have really come in handy if he gave off gay vibes.
Could Could have really satisfied a large group with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
He gives didn't have a date to the prom vibes.
Yeah, that's more. Those are more the vibes.
I'm getting fired for not getting a forced vaccine. I fight for that. I'm called a far-right extremist, terrorist. I lose friends. I lose family. I lose money. I get fired for being white. Yes, I have the receipts. Emails, tape recordings saying, we don't want you because you're white. It's really not a good look right now. But you can be an illegal immigrant, sneak over the border, come into this country, start fake daycares in Minnesota, fake healthcare companies, get millions, if not billions of dollars funded by the taxpayers. You don't have to speak the language. You can hate America. You can hate white people, and you get off scot-fucking-free. Enough of this bullshit. Enough. You either stand up for it or we're going to lose our goddamn country.
That's
you
right.
know George Washington started a war because they taxed his tea 3%. People running out into a field in the middle of winter, no coats, no shoes, getting cannons, bodies blown off, heads ripped off, friends, brothers dying. All the fight for the freedom of this country and lower taxes. It's enough. Enough. Also, I am starting a daycare in Minnesota. And I'm just raising
wow, this guy's
money.
hilarious.
I'm trying to raise $5 million by tomorrow morning. For these kids, or the kids are going to die if they don't have a place. It's cold out, so they need.
Get it. He rants about it, but now he's opening a daycare. Get it? That's wow. Book this guy, Tyler Fisher. He's a comic. Wow, what a talent. What a talent.
What a talent.
Yeah.
I know at least 80% of you have type 2 diabetes, and they didn't have a lot of that in the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, right.
But everyone can do their part.
Yeah. Wow. What a joke. Wow, that guy. Get that guy a manager right now. But of course, here to break this down for us, Batya Ungar Sargon herself, to do a professional job. Let's take a look.
Scandal is totally appalling, but it is also unsurprising, and that's because it's a microcosm of what ails the Democratic elites. That's our Why It Matters segment.
Oh, she's got a regular gig there now?
The latest revelations join others in which suspected Somali fraudsters stole more than $9 billion in federal funds from 14 state-run agencies dating back to 2018. Somali Americans make up 89% of the defendants charged. The absolute scale of the fraud just beggars belief. Where were the spot checks? Where were the officials? It seems totally impossible that the Democratic leadership was not somehow in on this. Just think about how outrageous this is. You are wondering whether you can afford to have another child because childcare is so expensive. Meanwhile, a group of Somalis in Minnesota got $110 million for childcare centers that don't exist. You can't afford to buy a home, but 100 Somalis spent millions on luxury properties, millions of your taxpayer dollars. You're paying $30,000 a year for terrible health care, and they got millions for healthcare centers that they never opened for patients that they never serviced.
See, so you see what they're all doing, and you know, she's the anchor here, so it has some, you know, modicum of officialness, if you will, when she does it. She's using the word "and" to connect your dire state of living with the Somali fraud scheme.
Right.
What she's really communicating is the word "because." What she's trying to get you to think there is that your life sucks because daycare centers in Minneapolis are getting money that they can't get, that they should not get. That's what she's really saying here.
But the fraud is a microcosm of an illness that plagues our political elites, especially on the left. More broadly, everybody comes before you. For decades, the Democrats have pushed for mass migration, both legal and illegal, which drove down the wages of working-class Americans while making competition for housing, healthcare, and an education, the hallmarks of the American dream, even fiercer.
Okay, so you get the game there. Now, let me explain to you why your life actually sucks. It's this graph right here, distribution of family wealth as of 2022. So this is an income inequality graph where you could see the net worth of families by percentile, the 10th percentile on the left, the 50th percentile, meaning the middle class, and then, of course, the upper class. Now, if that's a little confusing, the numbers are a little big. The takeaway from that is that in the past 60 years, America witnessed a massive transfer of wealth from the middle class to the wealthiest families, increasing wealth inequality. In 1963, the wealthiest families had 36 times the wealth of families in the middle of the wealth distribution. By 2022, they had 71 times the wealth of families in the middle. So even if you don't compare the top 1% to the bottom 1%, compare the top 1% to the 50th percentile. The income inequality as a percentage, it's even bigger in terms of gross dollars, of course, but as a percentage, as a ratio, has doubled. That is why your life sucks. Another reason your life sucks. Elon Musk's net worth, a guy who signal boosted the shit out of this story, worth $744 billion. If he feels so bad about the $1 billion that Minneapolis has been scammed out of, why doesn't he write a check? He'd have $743.6 billion left over. That is why your life sucks, not because of Somali fraudsters. So back to Andrew Mercado. The fraud cases in Minnesota are real, but they are not new, and they were not newly uncovered by right-wing influencers. Federal prosecutors and the FBI began investigating large-scale fraud tied to Minnesota state and federally funded programs years before the 2024 election. The largest case, Feeding Our Future, was publicly charged in September 2022 when the Department of Justice announced indictments alleging tens of millions of dollars in pandemic child nutrition funds were stolen. Since then, more than 50 defendants have pleaded guilty, with prosecutions continuing through 23, 24, and into 25. By 2023, the investigations had already expanded beyond Feeding Our Future into Medicaid services, autism therapy providers, housing assistance, and child care programs. Minnesota's legislative auditor, federal investigators, and local outlets like the Minnesota Reformer, Fox 9, KSTP, and others were reporting on systemic failures and active criminal probes well before the 2024 presidential campaign was underway. That context matters when influencers like Nick Shirley present themselves as exposing something hidden. His video does not start a new investigation or reveal information unknown to law enforcement. It repackages an ongoing federal case that had already been charged, prosecuted, and widely reported, and presents it as a fresh discovery. Showing up with a camera at children's child care centers, inserting himself into an active investigation, and driving harassment toward a specific community reflects a serious lack of journalistic ethics and basic moral responsibility. Fraud should be prosecuted, and people who stole public money should go to prison. But accountability also requires honesty about timelines, sources, and impact. Turning an active criminal investigation involving childcare into viral content during an election year while ignoring years of prior reporting and while entire communities face harassment as a result is not journalism, it's agitation propaganda. Yes, that is some reasonable perspective on this. But what kind of reach does reasonable perspective get? 516.4 thousand views, as opposed to the 125 million, as when I screenshotted, it's more now, obviously, views that you get doing a 42-minute propaganda video that serves the interests of Elon Musk, Dinesh D'Souza, Ted Cruz, Jillian Michaels, and all of these big accounts that boosted it, Bill Ackman, and the like. And by the way, folks, as this all happens, this is an angle that I have not seen covered all that much. As long as we are contemplating deporting tens of thousands of people, as that Christian nationalist guy wants us to do, here's what you're looking at deporting them back to. Trump administration shatters the record for annual U.S. airstrikes in Somalia. That's right. Bombing Somalia at record pace. Broke the record for annual bombings as of August. And just in the spirit of the season, U.S. airstrikes hit Somalia on Christmas Day as Trump continues unprecedented bombing campaign. So
the peace president.
The peace president. That's right. The peace president, for sure. So, yeah, there's fraud in Minnesota that's been investigated now for the past 3 years, charged under Merrick Garland in 2022. If you were psyoped into raging about this all day yesterday, quite plainly, you're a fucking moron. You're a moron. You're a dupe. You're exactly the kind of sheep. You're a mouse that's being run through a maze with cheese at the end of it. And it's a trap set by the same people who set every one of these traps, every scapegoating of every outgroup, while they accrue massive amounts of wealth. And it is their relentless accumulation of wealth that creates a shortage on your end. So, yeah, the reason why you're struggling to get your rent paid is not because a Somali daycare is swindling the government out of a few $1 million. The reason why you can't afford anything and why your life sucks and why the bank is going to seize your house when you get brain cancer and you can't pay for the chemotherapy is because of this. It's because of this. And it's because of shit like this. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And I had one person, snap back at me, accuse me of, why would you use divisive rhetoric like this? Oh, fuck off. Oh, just shut up. Shut the fuck up. Listen, what
on X?
Yeah, like we haven't used divisive rhetoric against the libs for 4 years until now. You guys love the divisive rhetoric against liberals, right? We can call them stupid all day and trash them all day, and that's not considered divisive. There's this certain faction of people that thinks we ought to walk on eggshells around these MAGA chuds. And no, just be kind and be understanding. Sometimes tough love is what's called for. You don't want to be a moron.
That ship sailed when you guys went full KKK. Go fuck yourselves.
Exactly. Like, you don't want to be a racist moron. You don't want to be called a racist moron. Don't act like one. Don't act like one. And don't be so easily duped into outrage by people who make more money in a minute, literally, than you will see in your lifetime. That's as nice as I could be. It's not my job to be nice to you. I'm not your mother. I'm not your gay lover. Can't stop. That's about as nice as I can be about it.
Absence of Buttigieg breast harness there.
Exactly. I just can't stop going back there for some reason. It's fucking pathetic. It is really pathetic that people just stand for this and that people absorb this. I know if this had broken the week before Christmas and I went to a Christmas gathering, they would be, did you hear about the Somali fraud? Just pathetic. Just sheep, all these people. They make fools out of us so easily. And a lot of it is because it's a slow news cycle around the holidays. You haven't really seen much action on X, but yesterday, like the flip of a switch, it was everywhere you looked. Everywhere you looked. And, in case this clip doesn't lose us enough subscribers, we have another one coming up next. But go ahead.
Boom.
Add first.
Yeah, they have to keep you punching down. Because if you're not punching down, what direction are you punching in?
Yeah.
You look at that. You look at Elon Musk as $744 billion. And the idea that the problem is this relative to the size of our economy, it's nothing. It's not even a blip. It's not even a piece of toast at the diner kind of money relative to our economy. To suggest that's why you don't have health care. And people like Batya Ungar-Sargon, I mean, they are the absolute scum of the earth.
Yeah, she's a disgrace.
You have an administration that did backflips to make your health insurance more expensive. What does that have to do with Somali fraudsters that were exposed under the Biden administration? Think about that. They're packaging this to you as if the media ignored it when it looks like it was broken by the Times. It looks like the seminal story on it was the New York Times. So it's not that they weren't telling you about it. It's an old story, but they're repackaging it as a news story. Why? In order to make people accept a system like this, where you have that just absolute vertical line up to the upper percent of the 1%. It's even beyond the 1% now. It's the 0.01% are hoarding the wealth. Elon Musk has more wealth than the bottom 50% of the country. How do you get people to accept that without people like Elon being in danger, without them coming for them? How do you do that? You got to psyop them constantly. You have to psyop them 24 hours a day. The racism psyop, the xenophobia psyop, that's the oldest psyop we have as a country. That's always their go-to. They play on your idea of yourself as at least better than those people. and they get people talking about their cultural pride. Why don't we get to have a culture? As an American, what are you even talking about? Unless you're a Native American, what are you even talking about? But that is how they keep you from coming for them. And they play, especially with men, they play on the need that a lot of men have, to particularly men who are, particularly carry themselves in a kind of stereotypically masculine way, of being tough, of being self-sufficient, of being strong, of being a member of the group, of the tribe, of the pack. They really play on that to manipulate them into embracing an ideology that's self-hating, self-defeating, and most importantly, deflects all of that aggression at people below them, never at the people above them. Because they know, particularly with those people, if there's anybody who would endanger them, if they were to wake up, would endanger their wealth, their power, their privileges, it's those people. That's why they concentrate so much of their effort on them. Now, this tactic is particular to conservatives. They do the same thing with liberals. With liberals, we'll see that more in the Ro Khanna thing with these so-called moderate billionaires. Liberals are people who really wanted the teacher to like them. They're people who brought apples to the teacher, and really, they're hall monitors. It's a political entity made up of hall monitor personality types. The way you get them to go along with oligarchy is you tell them these are the smart things to believe. Well, you can't tax wealth. You can't do that, right? And they'll go along with that. As long as you signal to them this is being a good little boy, this is being a good little girl, this is what the teacher is telling you, you got to go along with it. They'll go along with it. That's a different tactic. This is the way that they keep more of the white working class inside the fence.
Yeah, the one guy, I forget his name, weird name. What is it? Effersum, whatever the hell it was. That guy was doing 20 years for a fraud scheme involving $1 billion. So when Scott Jennings says people need to go to prison for this, well, this guy went to prison for a very similar offense when you add the dollars and cents up, and Trump let him out. You think if this guy was a Somali immigrant, he'd be out of jail?
Well, and that's where it's very obvious. You got to ask yourself, if you're, and I'm sure there are some people, I promise you we're going to get it in the comment section on this. If you're somebody who's losing your shit about this, as Keaton very well demonstrated, a repackaged story, a lot of which is a fake story, pretending that these places don't have children in them, just completely faked it. Why aren't you mad about this? Why aren't you mad about these people? They are controlling you. They're telling you what to be mad about. They're telling you what to think about. They are literally controlling your mind. They're controlling your mind.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, and this is where a lot of just casual, racism comes in. Not to hammer on this, but I feel like to bookend the segment. You show up at a daycare with cameras insisting that you have the right to film other people's kids. I mean, talk about an entitlement, right? That you think, oh, what? And behind that, yes, is a racism. It's, well, these are brown people. They're immigrants to our country. They're guests in our house. They live at our pleasure. So I have the right to go and film them if I want to.
Right.
Any of you guys have kids, or if you know people who have kids, you drop your kids off at school. If you want to go into a school to see your own kid, right? You want to pick up your own kid from school, you got to ring into the office. You got to sign in. You got to check in, right? And even then, you can't just bring a camera in and start filming other people's kids. You can't. They're sensitive. Schools are very sensitive places about that now. You don't just have free reign to come in there and start pointing cameras at people's children. People are very sensitive about that in the internet age for good fucking reason. So no, it's not suspicious that they would not let you in to film the child. Oh, some stranger comes in with a camera crew, wants to film the children here. Of course they're going to close the door.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's not suspicious.
Oh, yeah. Come on in.
No,
would you want to send your kid to a daycare center that would let them in?
Exactly. You're a white parent, right? I mean, or really any parent, but the people who are agitated about this, let's be real, are 90% white people. You're a parent. You send your kids to school.
98.
Yeah. Do you want to send your kid to a daycare center that if someone shows up with a camera, they'd just be, yeah, oh, yeah, come on in. Yeah, come on in. Take as many pictures as you want. You wouldn't send them there. Not in a million years. All right. Let's go to some Rumble Rants and Super Chat. Oh, by the way, I got to add to this clip. When you mentioned why they're doing this, there are a lot of motivations. And one additional motivation is the vilification of Somalis and Somalia itself, which we'll get to in the next segment. So we'll end this clip on a cliffhanger. All right, go ahead. Now we can go to Super Chats. Yes. Because there's another part of the story that I think is equally important, but it's too much for one clip. That was 45 minutes right there.
All right. Yeah, you pulled a Russ. That was a me kind of segment. All right. Are we doing chats or
yeah, let's do some chats. Yeah, let's do some super
chats. Demark, dear MAGA trolls in the chat, Alex Jones is played out. He's so 2018. The Avengers were fighting Thanos when he was relevant. He's 51 and looks 65. do we have some of them in the chat? Some of those gay triots into Alex. Mark Fitz, belated happy Christmas, gents. Have a great new year and safe travels, Russ. I love the show and look forward to riding shotgun with y'all as we barrel into 2026. I have a feeling it's going to be a bumpy ride. Yeah, I'm afraid your feeling is correct.
Yes.
Get in, losers. We're heading to the end of the empire.
Yes. Thank you for that. It was a $50 one, right? Do we need a countdown?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Jolly Man Big Boy, my AI sitcom pitch. The world is taken over by a supernatural autocrat, and the former elites live together in a rehab community, forced to take 9-to-5 jobs. Shmuley is the head of Neighborhood Watch. We should make that series.
Yeah.
That's $1 million idea there, my friend.
$1 million idea.
Imagine non-white showing up demanding answers from current Senator Rick Scott for the billions of dollars of fraud he committed.
Yeah.
Good one. Yes. Andy Gardner, segment idea, Russ on the run. Run and talk across a bridge at different locations.
Yeah, that guy. What a weirdo. Running across a bridge in a snowstorm. Oh, funny. Can't make that
Richard Pemberton. I won't convince you in a super chat that notwithstanding Trump's Nazi tactics, the Minnesota fraud scandal is far from small potatoes. So let me ask what research you have done to so conclude. Well, we have 45 minutes of an answer.
Yeah, well, I showed it to you right there. I don't know if you chatted that during the segment, but the New York Times.
I am assuming, yeah. I mean, we referenced it before we did the segment.
Yeah, we referenced it before. I think we referenced it in a previous segment on a previous show. But yes, there is, and yes, in fact, I know we did. Yep. Yeah, there's a fraud scandal involving a few scores of people, defrauding the government out of money. I didn't deny that it happened.
You should take a look. You should take a look at that. I think it was ProPublica. We've used that as a source. They did a great article. They got a hold of the tax returns of like Elon, Jeff Bezos, a couple of other people. I think it covered the years like 2018 to 2021. These guys pay like on hundreds of millions of dollars of income, like $40,000 a year.
Yeah, and so actually, this is small potatoes compared to that.
Yes, quite small. Quite small. Peter Mon, that's my point. They want you thinking about this, so you don't think about that.
Right.
That's it. It's not that there's no fraud there, although it's not. They're repackaging an old story and presenting it as if it's a new story they didn't want you to know about.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want you to know about.
Right.
The famously conservative New York Times. Yeah.
Right.
Peter Monahan, Gator Pete. Happy New Year's, Keaton, Russell, and Dee Dee family. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Domark, sadly, many MAGA zombies sub to Dee Dee in 2024, 2025. Listen, man, we're not doing any more Daryl Cooper segments. I don't know what to do about it. Nathan Vassell, Tyler Fisher got banned from Rogan's Comedy Club for being a creep.
Oh, really?
Brett and Joe with a discrimination lawsuit.
Wow.
Discrimination against creeps.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. We'll do one last one. Benjamin Vito. I agree that the wealth disparity is disgusting. The Somali thing is a distraction from the Candace Kirk FT Wachaka mess.
Wachaka mess.
You think that's the purpose?
Maybe. EO Shush says, I'm starting to think when the psyop to turn Charlie Kirk into Nazi MLK failed, this fight back and forth is to distract MAGA from the Epstein files. Well, always a distraction. Ozempic Alex Jones is the best Alex ever, and F you if you can't handle the truth. That's right. Get Up King. Who is DD's number one whore of 2025? Alex, Elon, Trump, Zelensky, Tim Pool, Loomer, Randy Fine. Well, you got to watch how we did 2 segments. Hacks and sellouts both could be on, in the whore umbrella.
You can't call Randy Fine a whore because he's a true believer. He believes that shit.
He's not selling out. That's true. That is true. Vito says, May 2026 bring us hope, peace, and love. Cancer sucks. You all rock. You rock, Vito.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. RB, I like this one. Alex Jones is an inside job. Isn't it ironic? Yes, that's right. That's right. Thank you, RB. Judy Denmark says, Happy New Year to the absolute best podcasters on air. Well, thank you, Judy Denmark. Russ, you sound more like Alex Jones than Alex does. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move right on along here. Okay, so we just talked about the Somali fraud scandal of the century broken by one Nick Shirley, the new MAGA darling, who I had never heard of until yesterday, but apparently he's got 1 million YouTube subscribers, and now, thanks to this, nearly 1 million X followers. And we're going to talk a little bit about how this story was signal boosted and why. Beyond the obvious aims of scapegoating poor people for your problems, which are caused by rich people. DC Drano says, to any billionaire reading this, if you want to save this country, start investing in and financially supporting independent content creators like Nick Shirley. Wow. Really not interested in any kind of subtlety there. just so here it is. Hey, billionaires, come and fund this guy. I can't think of a better return on investment than paying an ambitious investigative journalist $20,000 a month to uncover hundreds of billions in government fraud with a cell phone camera and some light video editing. Think of how on the nose that is. If you're a billionaire, I can't think of a better return on investment than paying this kid to go out and smear poor people to get the middle class afraid of poor people and angry at poor people. He's right. It is a good return on investment.
Sure.
I mean, it makes a good case. Yeah. It really does. Sure. And Nick Shirley was very, very grateful for the plug. He says, I do support this message for those that are interested. The most important thing is to be following and to care, however, for those that are interested. DMs are open. Not expected, but very much appreciated. Sunlight is the best disinfectant for the fraudsters. Yeah, money is the best disinfectant. So Venmo, and then people asking for Solana wallet. Here it is. So he puts the links to his payment systems. And yeah, man, this was, you talk about a psyop. This was boosted like crazy. We got into this a little bit in the last segment, but here's Elon, more than any of the daily readership of all newspapers in America combined, 100 million views, boosted by Doge Designer on X, and then Elon reposting that. Don't hate the media, become the media. Yes. JD Vance, of course, signal boosting it on his end. Alex Jones has Nick Shirley on, for an interview to talk about this. Andrew Tate boosts the story and tags him. How do I donate to your journalism? To which Nick replies, what's good, Top G? Appreciate you wanting to help. Means a lot, actually. I have tips on my account set up. I know you are a crypto guy. So here's a few addresses. This guy's got all the grifts working. He's got the Bitcoin and the crypto and everything. Just in, yesterday, citizen journalist Nick Shirley earns over $65,000 from creator coin fees on Zora for viral media reporting. So his crypto had a nice surge yesterday. Some more about Nick Shirley. Here's Zay Squirrel. Nick Shirley, who is being promoted by Elon Musk, JD Vance, and the entire conservative media sphere, is a fanatical Zionist Israel firster. He literally went to Israel to do a propaganda tour just a few months back. All the Zionists are doing, oh my God, Somalis, oh my God, Muslims for Israel. So here's a little bio on him from Reverse Canary Mission. So Canary Mission, finds prominent anti-Zionists and, spills the tea on them, and so you can get them fired from their jobs. Well, Reverse Canary Mission does biographies of fanatical Zionists. So Nick Shirley, a self-proclaimed YouTube reporter, films Palestinian solidarity protests to portray participants as ignorant scammers clueless about their cause, amplifies hateful Israeli voices, and smears activists as Hamas sympathizers to dehumanize them. Shirley skews footage of pro-Palestine demonstrations to depict them as paid protesting scam, splicing in anti-Palestinian rhetoric from Israelis while ignoring the genocide to shield apartheid and subjugate Palestinian advocates. Through selective editing and skewed camera angles, Shirley consistently depicts protesters, often brown and black individuals, as lacking any genuine understanding of Palestinian dispossession, thereby dehumanizing them as mere pawns in a fabricated scam rather than voices against apartheid. So here he is. This looks like Chicago because this is right under the L. This is where you did a lot of your footage. Inside America's paid protesting scam. Have you ever wondered why these protests seem to never stop in the U.S.? Well, it's because it's paid chaos. In this video, I break down the paid protesting scam that plagues America. Here he is, another one, asking college students if they know why they are protesting. After seeing many videos of college students protesting, I wanted to see if they actually knew why they were protesting. I think their responses will shock you, or maybe not, actually. Here he is in Dearborn, Michigan. Christian and Islamic protesters are clashing in Dearborn, Michigan. Qurans have been hit with bacon, and burning attempts of the Quran have happened. This could get ugly.
Dearborn, Michigan, you have a group of Christian protesters who have came out here to Dearborn, as it is the #1 city for Islam here in the United States, as it is one of the only towns here in the United States where the majority of the population belong to the religion of Islam. Some people have been attacked. One man attempted to burn the Quran as he beat the Quran with bacon. The police have now shown up. Counter protesters are over here. You have Palestinian protesters, Islamic protesters, and it has gotten wild here. People have been pepper sprayed. Camp Higbee was pepper sprayed, and you're also seeing street takeovers as well, as people have blocked off all of the road, and now traffic is coming through. And yes sir, I got you. And right now you have a bunch of people, and it's only about 3:30 right now. It could get wild here in Dearborn, Michigan. We'll see what happens.
All right, and I do actually want to show some of his interviews with the college protesters. For some reason, that video did not download properly, but I do have it now. I could screen share it. So let me get this ready for you. But yeah, here he is in New York City at one of the pro-Palestine protests, and this is par for the course. I'm sure you guys know essentially what you're in for here, but here is Nick Shirley on the ground. Oh, sorry. Hang on. My bad. I apologize about that. It was confusing because the same graphic was on here as was on the Twitter screen. My apologies.
It happens.
Here he is.
I'm in New York City right now, standing outside of a Palestine protest, and today we're going to be asking these students why they are protesting. Because I've seen videos, and I don't know if all these students understand exactly why they are here, or if they're just joining the crowd. I want to know if they actually understand why they are protesting, and see if they can give me any good answers. What are you guys out here protesting for?
No comment.
Why are you guys out here today?
Speak to the organizers.
Why can't I wanted to ask you though.
Official statements from the organizers only.
In the simplest terms, why are you guys protesting? Why are you guys protesting today?
Yeah, I don't think it would be a good idea if we...
Why are you guys protesting?
Just to be a part of the cause.
And what's the cause?
Yeah, I'm not the right person to talk to either.
It's not our job to talk. We're just here to support.
Okay, so that's essentially what that video is. Now, maybe it has occurred to this guy that the reason a lot of these kids are reluctant to talk to the media is because their job offers are being rescinded and they're being outed and doxxed by sites like Canary Mission. I mean, that could have something to do with it.
Yeah, not only that, I can tell you my own experience from doing this kind of work is very often because of groups like that deceptively editing interviews. The organizers do tell them not to talk to anybody.
Right.
That only an official spokesperson should talk to anybody. Because
Right.
they don't want to give them that. And he's kind of proving their point with what he's doing.
Yes. And of course, framing it as, well, they're just useful idiots who don't know why they're there. So I did want to show some of that for fairness sake. Something I find ironic is that a large group of the college protesters are part of the LGBTQ plus community, and they are supporting a group that wouldn't support them in their country. Wow. Imagine thinking people deserve to live just because, even though they don't necessarily support your lifestyle. Wow. I think there's a misunderstanding, he writes in May of 2024, from a large group of protesters, and I think they should realize who they are protesting for before they risk the loss of their college degrees. Oh, there you go. So you understand that they can lose their college degree and, get expelled or suspended. Maybe that's why they don't want to talk to you. I do not know much about the Palestinian-Israel conflict or the religious beliefs of the Islamic people or the people of that region of the world. However, many people have told me that Hamas does not support the LGBTQ plus community in any shape or form. I find that very interesting. So here's white guy destroys Nick Shirley and the Somali daycare psyop.
This YouTuber's name's Nick Stanley or Dick Staley or something to that effect. And
That's Dick Stanley.
he's going around to these child care centers in Minnesota, and he's like, oh, this is a scam. It's not open. It turned out one of them had already been closed by the government for at least a year, right? The thing that this kid is trying to do is he's trying to equate it with the Feed Our Children program or Feed Our Future program, which is about a $250 million fraud. 78 people were indicted. Granted, they have turned that $250 million number into $9 billion on the internet, and they want us to condemn the entire Somali population for a 78% indictment. Look at that. If you go to the Paycheck Protection Program from COVID, thousands of people were indicted. 90% of them were white. And now are we expecting everybody to condemn all white people for the same thing? Please fucking spare me the entire race is to blame, the entire group of people, the entire continent, the entire country of people. All of that is race baiting. So many bots now that are talking about this YouTube kid, and they're just posting in every Facebook group. They have like fake names. They are just new accounts. It's so bizarre to see this very manufacturing consent type of situation happening right under our eyes. But the point of the video that I want to make is the idea that we're going to condemn an entire group of people for the actions of a relatively small.
Yeah, that's stupid is right. It was a psyop, says Propaganda and Company, and you fell for it. While you were distracted, Israel secured another $9 billion and secured U.S. involvement in a war with Iran. And he screenshots a tweet that was featured in the previous segment, saying essentially, yes, this is an old story that's been repackaged for outrage porn. Suppressed news reports. Okay, now here, so, we've seen Donald Trump rage about Somalis being garbage and screwing our country and deporting Ilhan Omar. This is really interesting. This is really interesting timing. This is from December 26th, just a few days ago. U.S. President Trump spent weeks ramping up propaganda against Somalia and trashing them on media. Israel today announced officially recognizing Somaliland. This is not a coincidence. They are operating hand in hand to further Israel's interests. Yes, Somaliland is not a theme park, folks. As you can see there on the map, it's a breakaway territory from the country of Somalia after the 90s civil war. And if you take a look at a map there, Somaliland just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Yemen. So could be a strategic location for both controlling that waterway into the sea and a base from which to launch airstrikes against Yemen. But here is Benjamin Netanyahu speaking with the president of Somaliland.
Mr. Prime Minister. It's good to talk to you. And before anything else, I want you to know that I'm signing now, as we speak, Israel's official recognition of Somaliland and its right of self-determination. Our friendship is seminal and historic.
Friendship.
So I'm very, very happy, and I'm very proud of this day, and I want to wish you and the people of Somaliland the very, very best there. I think this will be a great opportunity for expanding our partnership. We intend to work together with you on economic fields, on agriculture, in the fields of social development, all the things that we hope we can assist you, and we obviously believe in this friendship. And I have to tell you that there's a lot of excitement here in Israel as well. So I want to use this opportunity, sir, to invite you to an official visit to Israel at your convenience. And I hope very much to see you here soon. This is a wonderful day. It's a historic day. And of course, I'll communicate to President Trump your willingness and desire to join the Abraham Accords. So thank you, Mr. President. Please convey my best regards and the best regards of the people of Israel to the people, to the independent people of Somaliland.
That's right. Let's take a look inside Somaliland. This is the city of Hargeisa, the capital of the breakaway region of Somaliland, the first Somali city where the flag of Israel is openly celebrated and waved proudly in the streets by people. Yeah, you're Somaliland. There you go. Yeah, that all looks legit. Plot thickens, right? Yeah, here's the map. Look at how close Somaliland is to Yemen. That's what Israel is after, a military base in Somaliland, as represented here by this political cartoon. And now we go to this Twitter space, explosive. The speaker states that Somaliland secessionist leaders made very generous offer to Israel that they would absorb up to 1.5 million Palestinians in Somaliland. So not only is Somaliland strategic in terms of being a base from which to potentially attack Yemen, but also the Somaliland could be a future home for the people of Gaza, 1.5 million. Let's take a look at this.
What did you think was the main reason for Israel to break with this usual line of the international community and to be the first to do so?
Well, I think there are two. Thanks for the question. I think it's a very important question. I think there are two major components here to Israel's strategic thinking. Number one is the importance of securitizing or securing, if you will, the Red Sea, and particularly leading up to the canal and the southern approach ultimately to Egypt and Gaza. Gaza is a very important issue today because the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas, as the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, is making a lot of trouble for a lot of people. I do know that our friends in Somaliland made a very generous offer privately and in the last, I would say in the last months, I think it even reached the desk of the President of the United States, of their willingness to absorb or to create communities for hundreds of thousands, even beyond 1 million, up to 1.5 million Gazans who want to rebuild their lives in a safe place, just like Somaliland.
So if we recognize the sovereignty of Somalilands, we can establish diplomatic relations that allow Israel to establish a base from which to attack Yemen and gives them a dumping ground for the Palestinians who they just genocided. See, all starting to come together. George Galloway puts it much better than I could, since he's a real professional.
Softened up by those behind the attempt to secede from Somalia by something called Somaliland, which is an entirely fictional entity, a brutal British torture chamber. And it isn't even all of Somaliland. Somaliland is 4 parts. 3 of the parts want to remain in Somalia. We have a breakaway separatist clan now declaring independence in Somaliland. It only has 1 country in the world recognizing it. And which country, dear viewer, do you think that is? Israel is the only country in the world to afford legal and official recognition to this breakaway statelet, this rump of Somaliland. Why would they do that? Well, a glance at the map will show you not just why they would do it, but why the Americans would be secretly backing it. A look at the geography of Somaliland would show that it would command the waterways in the Horn of Africa to an extent that is truly world-changing. It would change the balance of force in the world. Now, the proximate reason for Israel's recognition is to take occupation of the Berbera air base, which they have just done this evening. Why would Israel want the Berbera air base? Well, from that air base, they could very easily and regularly bomb Yemen without having to take the trouble of flying over multiple Arab countries, embarrassing those countries in order to do so. It would also, of course, be a handy staging point for further attacks on Iran.
You see? So that's what this is really about. That's what's actually going on here. That's what's actually going on here. And meanwhile, back home, it's, say it again, Somali fraud. Somali fraud. You see how little you know? You see, there are all these different angles to this. The most obvious one being the class war angle, where, of course, it is in the interests of billionaires to gin up resentment against Somali scammers, to scapegoat them for all the problems of the middle class, which are caused by the richest 1% among us. But beyond that, yeah, it did seem kind of strange how all of a sudden, just before we had this recognition of Somaliland by Israel and this invitation by Netanyahu to the president of Somaliland to go to Israel and formalize this relationship between two manufactured states, I would argue, we have this like full court press against Somalis as garbage people and ingrates and scammers. It's amazing. It's amazing to take a peek behind the curtain and see what the actual motivations are behind all of this. But this is another element that I think was worth checking out. And I do want to give a big shout out to Big Mad Crab. Follow him on X if you don't, and subscribe to Prolpilled, which is his show that he co-hosts with Snow Himbo. Mad Crab produced this segment. And given the amount of time it took me to research the first segment on this, there's absolutely no way this segment would have happened without his help. I did not have time to do this all myself. So big shout out to Crab. Thanks for helping with this segment.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job. We are very happy to have him, very lucky to have him. And he's going to be doing a lot of work.
Oh, there's Himbo.
Country. There he is.
Prolpilled, what's that? That's a co-host. That's Snow Himbo right there. There you go. Prolpilled, that's the name of the channel. Go subscribe.
There he is. Yeah, it's so little of what we think of as our culture is organic. I mean, that is something I've increasingly come to realize over time. Almost everything is a psyop, depending on how you define it. Like if you define a psyop by powerful people you're not seeing or deciding what you're thinking about and what you're talking about, almost everything's a psyop. Yeah. Who was talking about Somalia? Who's talking about Somalia? I'm sorry. Americans, I promise you 99% of Americans cannot find Somalia on a map. Could not tell you the first goddamn thing about Somalia. And all of a sudden, you're very concerned about Somalia? That's a psyop. That's a psyop. And whenever you see something like that, whenever you see something where all of a sudden one day nobody was talking about it, next day everybody's talking about it, you have to dig into who benefits. You always have to look at who benefits because someone's benefiting. There's a reason they want you talking about that. So it's not surprising at all that there's a whole military aspect to this. There almost always is. Military aspect, big macroeconomic moves being made by the people who actually own you and own your life. And they find ways to keep you distracted or to program you to back something they plan on doing later, like invading Somalia. Right now, they've spent a lot of time seeding in your mind that these people that most Americans know nothing about, will never encounter, don't have any interactions with, are a profound danger to you. Look at how we talk about entertainment. I'll tell you, man, of the posts that I've done over the years, the only thing that has gotten people more in their feelings than things that I've said about, say, a movie or a TV show, are like Ukraine. It's the only thing I've seen trigger people like that. Do you think that's normal? Do you think that's normal for like grown ass adults to get that mad about like what you had to say about a Space Wizards movie, right? For like grown ass adults to be that fixated on things like that, to get that emotional about a show about like dragons, right? Grown ass adults to get that in their feelings about what you thought about a season of that show. Like, how do you think we got that way? Why do you think we're that infantilized? They're not ready to kill you yet, so they got to keep you completely ineffective. They got to keep you like a big fat baby. Big fat baby. Do you see what they did to Star Wars? Did you see what they did? They got to keep you like that. It's not just that. I mean, I'm talking about the nerd culture, but it's culture wide, man. It's not just like in those niches and those pockets. You're constantly psyoped, distracted, and you're trained to think that you're politically engaged, but you're not. They tell you what political engagement is, and you just follow that lead and repeat what they tell you to be concerned about in their interest.
Yep. 100%. 100%. All right, folks. Before we move on, this is our last show before New Year's Day, which means this is our last show before the release of A to Z, songs from the tape deck by our friend John Koa. Congratulations on completing the album. The album drops midnight on New Year's Day in every time zone. 34 self-performed tracks, originals, and covers built on lyrics. It's been a long time in the making. We've sponsored John for a long time, so congratulations on the imminent release of this epic album, a combination of covers and originals. Great stuff. DueDissidents.com/Koa. Go check it out. That link takes you to a Linktree page where you can follow him on your music platform of choice. He's on Apple, he's on Spotify, and of course, he's here on YouTube as well. So DueDissidents.com/Koa. All right. Let's take some super chats. Why not?
Super chats. All right. Soon heaven. Dr. Sheba talks about the same. Truth, freedom, health.
Yes, we know.
Yeah, we've heard about that guy.
We know.
Kuznetsky Bassane. Interest on national debt. You should save this money and buy him a billboard.
Yeah, buy him. Exactly. Yeah.
Jose just put up a billboard against Richie Torres.
Oh, awesome. I didn't see that.
You didn't see that? He tweeted that to
that.
us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a good billboard. Kuznetsky was saying interest on national debt, $970 billion. Individual federal tax returns, $2.4 trillion. Thank you, military industrial complex. Yeah, those are things people should be worried about, but they don't tell them to be worried about it, so they're not. Julie Desnick, Trump gives billions to Argentina. No freak out.
Yeah, $40 billion.
To be fair, there was a freak out, not from Scott Jennings.
No.
Like normal people. Look, you got the normal people. Normal people get it. You can see that in the polling numbers, right? Then you got the broken people who need to find a sense of who they are by repeating whatever they see on X. Right. That's who the target audience for this stuff is. It's not normal people. It's not most people. Race car. When you get a new appliance delivered, do you find it difficult to throw away the giant, super thick cardboard box? I can't do it. I am pretty good about keeping things moving out of my house as soon as they come in. Yeah. I keep the box for as long as it takes me to decide I'm not going to return it. BMK, your Fuentes clip on Halper drove anti-Semites nuts. Well, that was the point of the clip. I told her that would happen.
Yeah, she asked. She
asked me, like, how do you get rid of those people? So I proceeded to help her do so.
That's right.
Millraven, free healthcare. Even our Coca-Cola is garbage compared to Mexico's.
That's right.
Theirs comes in a glass bottle and tastes nothing like the U.S. chemical Coke. Cheap subsidized gas is all Americans demand ever.
That's right.
Yeah, it's true. All right, you want to go to Rumble Rants?
Yeah, let's do some Rumble Rants. Yep, X, thanks for the $5. Says on Substack, and it's infuriating the amount of libs still regurgitating Russiagate propaganda, proclaiming they hate Nazis and fascism while actually supporting it. Liberalism and fascism go hand in hand. DD, I sent a short email question regarding a potential dystopian future. Oh, wow, I got to tag that one. Thank you for that. Eric Rousseau. If it was doggy daycare fraud, I'd be much more angrier. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Benny the Bottom, says Eric Rousseau. EO Shush, I don't know if they committed fraud, but the one thing I do know is Trump didn't scapegoat Somalians who happen to be black and Muslim to distract MAGA from the Epstein files. That's right. EO Shush. Oh, sorry, got that one already. Eric Rousseau, have you ever psyoped your kids besides the Santa psyop? Yeah, that's a psyop too. That's a psyop too. Tooth Fairy, that's another one. Easter Bunny, they're all psyops. Healing Tarzan, the only thing that's going to strain Benny's backbone is all those late night trysts after the good old boys convention. It's cute. Eric Rousseau, isn't filming other people's kids kind of pedo? Well, yeah, of course. It's always, yes, that's like standard like creep behavior. You're not supposed to film other people's kids. So yeah, obviously they're not going to just let you in to film kids. To be fair, Keaton, walking on eggshells seems only right in the context of Gatry freak-offs. Boom. Ha, good one. T-Bone says, ending the year with another great show. Thanks to all your friends and family who supported you during your career transitions. Thanks, Amanda. Oh, I will let her know you said that. That's very sweet. Happy New Year, DD, and the awesome chatters. Yeah, that is true. That is true. We did this for a very long time before we made a dime at it. And so, yes, it required some family, moral support, and patience. A lot of patience, for sure. Okay. KD says, great year of shows, DD. Rush, enjoy Vietnam. I spent 10 days there 20 years ago. Life-altering trip. Many signs of deep poverty and war aftermath, but food and people were incredible. Visit War Museum in Hue. Oh, I gotta find that one. Hue. Okay, I forgot. Ran out of characters. I'll find it and make sure I get the rest of it to him. But thank you for that. That's very kind.
I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos, of course, about these places, and there are a lot of people who do those videos. And apparently in Hue, like they still have the hangars that the Americans built off the airport in Da Nang. Because Da Nang was the first place that the troops invaded.
Okay. Let's go. Where are we at here? Here we go. 007 Angelo. Yet biggest fraudsters on the planet go on cashing checks. Hint, one of them is Prime Minister of Israel, and the other is the illegitimate president of Ukraine. Russell, 100% correct. Peasant minds. Thank you, 007 Angelo. Appreciate that. All right, let's move on right along, shall we?
We shall. So speaking of the upper classes protecting and defending their privileges from all comers by any means necessary, Khanna hits back as Silicon Valley oligarchs threaten primary challenge over California billionaires tax. It's from Common Dreams. U.S. Rep. Ro Khanna defended California's proposed tax on extreme wealth Saturday after a pair of prominent Silicon Valley venture capitalists threatened to launch a primary bid for his California House seat. The proposal, which advocates are gathering signatures to place on the ballot in 2026, would impose a one-time 5% tax on those with net worths over $1 billion to recoup about $90 billion in Medicaid funds stripped from the state by this year's Republican budget law. The roughly 200 billionaires affected would have 5 years to pay the tax. So it's spread out over 5 years, and it's for the most noble cause you could have, right? So that people can afford health care. That's specifically what it's earmarked for. It's not even an ongoing policy. While higher taxes on the super rich are overwhelmingly popular with Americans, the proposal has rankled many of California's wealthiest residents, as well as California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, who said earlier this month that he's adamantly against the measure. On Friday, the New York Times reported that two of the Valley's biggest power brokers, venture capitalist and top Trump administration ally Peter Thiel and Google co-founder Larry Page, were threatening to reduce their ties to California in response to the tax proposal. This has been a common refrain from elites faced with proposed tax increases, though data suggests they rarely follow through on their threats to bail on cities and states, even when those hikes are implemented. Meanwhile, the American Prospect has pointed out that the one-time tax would still apply to those who moved out of the Golden State. So if you have that money in the state now, doesn't matter if you leave, you're still going to be liable for the tax. Now, the Daily Show, when Mamdani was running in anticipation of the election, all these people talking about how they're going to leave New York if there's a tax. They put together a great montage going back decades of they always say that they're going to leave the state. But just the fact that they threaten that in the face of something like this, I can't think of a better example of the fact that fighting particular policies in the system is really not enough. This system has failed. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what all of the solutions are, but I think we can all agree when you look at the fact that you have people with this kind of money and this kind of privilege who feel this kind of impunity. The system has failed. This should not exist. Like, you can't really fix this system without fixing the existence of people with this kind of wealth and power within the system. You have to get rid of this kind of concentration of wealth. You can't do anything without doing that.
No, because just a very, very quick point, you know, as much as Newsom is a villainous guy, from his standpoint, he's thinking, well, if this passes, I'm going to lose these people to Texas, right? So, like, the ultimate problem is not Newsom. He's bad, obviously, for many reasons that we've talked about over the years. But the problem is a small group of people has that kind of power over the government where they can say, all right, you're going to tax us here. I guess we're going to Austin. And I guess California loses this whole tax base.
Right. And actually, Khanna, I didn't include it, but he had a little back and forth with Ted Cruz, where Ted Cruz was like, keep raising taxes on rich people and we'll keep taking them to Texas. And Khanna points out Texas has one of the worst healthcare systems in the country, has some of the worst lack of healthcare. That's what these people believe in. That's what they want. And they will do everything. They will deploy every bit of propaganda they have to get the peasants saying, see how much they taxed in California, and then the rich people leave it. So why are you glad about that?
Right.
Like, why would you, as a working person, get satisfaction in the rich people leaving California?
Right.
Why? So the New York Times did an article about this. Larry Page and Peter Thiel are making moves to leave California by the end of the year to avoid a possible billionaires tax that could hit them where it hurts. Now, you know, I'd like to point out the framing here. Is that really going to hurt them? 5%. You're fucking multi-billionaire. Is that really going to hurt them? That's the New York Times. That's the New York Times, right? Like, it's posing as being progressive, or it's posing as having a left point of view, but really it's reinforcing the basic core premise that you're hurting billionaires by taking 5% of their wealth. That core premise needs to be challenged. So Khanna tweeted over this. Peter Thiel is leaving California if we pass a 1% tax on billionaires for 5 years. So he's spreading out because it's 5 years to pay it. He's spreading out the 5% to pay for health care for the working class facing steep Medicaid cuts. I echo what FDR said with sarcasm of economic royalists when they threatened to leave. I will miss them very much. Now, you know, we get a lot of debate in this space. You know, we're post-duopoly. A lot of the people who follow us are veterans of the Bernie campaign. I would say probably a majority were Democrats at one time who follow us. So there's naturally a tendency to just be very embittered towards all Democrats. You know, Khanna went on with Nick, which, you know, kudos to go on that show. Give him credit. The impression I get with Khanna is he means well. Like, is he a radical? Like, does he share my politics? Like, would he go as far as I would want to go, even if he could? No, I don't think so. But there's no real upside for Khanna in picking a fight with these people. And he is. So, you know, again, it's kind of an argument against the system. Like, can Khanna, can you be in Congress and maintain your seat without compromising virtually every principle you might have? No, you can't. Like, Khanna, that's about as good as you could get in a system like this. So at that point, the villain isn't really Khanna. I think Ro Khanna is the kind of person who went into government feeling like he could do some good, and I'll try to do some good where I can. Because he picks fights like this that just there's no political calculus where this makes sense for him to do this. He's got a completely secure seat. He doesn't have to serve his voters as long as he serves his donors, many of which are these people, as we will see. So why is he doing it? Yeah, I think he's actually trying to do something good. The system will not let him even nibble around the edges of oligarchy like this. Even that's too much. And that's because of people like this. These are his donors. These are his donors. These are people who consider themselves moderate billionaires because they support a Democrat. They support Ro Khanna. Martin Casado is a partner at Andreessen Horowitz, which we've done quite a lot of coverage on. Ro has done a speed run alienating every moderate. I know this guy considers himself moderate. A guy who wants to primary Ro Khanna because he wants a one-time 5% wealth tax so people don't die from cancer. Right? He's a moderate. He's a moderate in his mind. Done a speed run alienating every moderate I know who has supported him, including myself. Beyond being totally out of touch with that faction of his base, he's devolved into an obnoxious jerk. At least that makes voting him the fuck out all the more gratifying. The arrogance of these people. The arrogance of these people. This is the moderate point of view. You know why they're freaking out about this? Because it's not going for a vote before the legislature, which they own. It's going for a vote before the people. These people don't believe in democracy. They hate the people. They hate that they know how people are going to vote on a wealth tax.
Yep. Well, that's the power of these ballot measures.
Exactly. That's why they're freaking out.
Yep.
And again, it's 5% spread out over 5 years. That's too much for them.
Right.
It's too much for them. Ro Khanna responded, I appreciated your support and sorry you feel that way. I have supported a modest wealth tax since the day I ran in 2016. I believe one can have a pro-innovation progressivism, but I respect you may disagree. He answers, antagonizing the people who made your district the amazing place it is. Oh, you mean a place that working people can't afford to live in? Very famously, Silicon Valley is a place where that's so unaffordable. Even people working at Google wind up sleeping in their vans.
Right.
That kind of amazing place is a new low. The fact you don't realize how tone deaf you've become is another indictment of your ability to represent moderates in your own district. This is how in a bubble these people are. To him, you don't just want the poors to die as being a moderate. A moderate billionaire is like a liberal Zionist. Their idea of being a moderate is, I'm sure they go to parties where people are like, well, the poor. I've literally been around rich people who talk like that. Like that's really exists. That's not a caricature from Succession. There are really people like that. Zionists who consider themselves liberals are ones who say, well, we shouldn't kill all the Palestinians, right? But in the end, they are not willing to challenge the system that causes the poverty or the death. They're not willing to challenge that system. So they're useless. They're useless. What this is they want to feel good about themselves. They have a guilty conscience. They want a virtue signal that they're not like those unenlightened billionaires. But as soon as you come for any of their money, as soon as you want to change anything, this isn't even a systemic change. It's a one-time tax. It's not even a meaningful gesture. It's just to save healthcare for people. His idea of moderate is to be against that. A one-time tax that would save people from dying for lack of healthcare. And he thinks he's a moderate because he supports Ro Khanna. So somebody responded, 53% of voters want a shock to that system. Are they the moderates you're referring to? And he actually responded to this. I suppose it depends on the shock. I'm for a shock where they don't come to my house and make me go work in the fields for 10 years until I get my mind right. I'm for that kind of shock. I'm for the kind of shock that is the shock of people not being able to pay their grocery bills or pay health insurance. I'm not for the kind of shock where I lose any significant portion of my wealth. That kind of shock I'm not for. I'm not for any kind of shock where people actually take control of the government and people like me don't own the politicians. That kind of shock I'm not in favor of. So Gary Tan, he is the CEO of Y Combinator, which is kind of the gold standard, no pun intended, of startup organizations in Silicon Valley. So Y Combinator, every year they have a big dog and pony show where they get all the big venture capitalists in a room, and you get all the aspiring startups come and pitch their idea to them. Twitter actually started at Y Combinator. They pitched it at Y Combinator and got funded. So it's a huge thing. These people are all billionaires who are in this conversation. Time to primary him. Count me in. Happy to be involved at any level. Look, they're on a righteous mission to make sure people can't fund their health care. Now, Andreessen Horowitz, as I mentioned, we've covered a lot. It bears mentioning again. These people rob old ladies of their life savings for lunch money. They backed a fintech startup, Synapse, where people didn't understand that it wasn't covered by the FDIC, and they certainly didn't go out of their way to explain it to them. You had people put their whole retirement savings in there. Gone. They weren't under a legal obligation, but they could have made those people whole. You literally had old ladies, retirees, life savings wiped out. They could have made them whole. They didn't. And that's why Humpty Dumpty Mark Andreessen went on Rogan's show to get chuds worked up about the CFPB, because this falls under their purview. They're the ones who regulate these fintech companies. That's why he went on there, to get people who don't understand what it is angry about regulating companies like Synapse so they could destroy more people's lives. That's who these people are. Andreessen, a lot of people might want to run away from IDF soldiers right now. Not Andreessen Horowitz. They're targeting elite IDF alumni for Startup Accelerator. They're actively seeking out IDF soldiers to back their startup ideas. They're going out of their way to recruit IDF people and fund their businesses. And they're also boosting their venture capital investments in Israel. So that's who this Cansado guy is, who wants to primary Ro Khanna, who considers himself a moderate. That's a moderate. This is the co-founder of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian. We're absolutely going to have to figure out how our society adapts to a rapidly increasing wealth gap. It'll be required to preserve our republic, but the answer is definitely not taxing unrealized gains. Why is
you were on a roll there until the last part.
This is a pattern. The ones who want to see themselves as the enlightened billionaires, they will acknowledge that there's a problem, and out of the other side of their mouth explain to you why none of the solutions to the problem should be enacted.
Right.
There was one. They're saying we should fix it at the federal level by equalizing capital gains taxes with work. Oh yeah, that's going to pass. Hey, move it to the casino we have rigged. That's where we'll have it. They just don't want a referendum because they know how people are going to vote on something like this. And this is what I meant in the earlier segment about the kind of propaganda that works on libs. That's the kind of thing that works on libs, right? You got to signal to them that you're smart if you align with this belief.
Right.
And then oh yeah, no. Well, you can't tax the unrealized gains because they're not realized yet, right? It's not realized gains. What they're complaining about is they're holding stock or whatever other investments, and they're going to have to liquidate 5% over 5 years. That's the problem. That's the issue. Now this Nicholas Gibbs wrote I'm not reading all that Free Palestine kind of post, but just to give you an idea, sad to see Ro Khanna become another politician who has no economic literacy. Now hold my beer. Your case for a billionaire wealth tax falls apart on every key point. He goes on to explain how everyone's going to leave. Thanks for engaging. This is how Roe answered. Show me the economic literature which says that a modest wealth tax on billionaires of 1 to 2% disincentivizes founders or VC investment. I know plenty of economists who argue the opposite. I'd be happy to read papers that make your point, which of course he did not produce, at least at the time I was putting this together. Vinod Khosla, he was the founder of Sun Microsystems. He is worth, I believe it's $12.3 billion, this guy. You are so wrong, Ro. Top prospects for generating wealth in the state will almost certainly leave the state. Every advisor would advise every enterprise that gets big momentum to have key people relocate to another state. Even people who don't expect this initiative to pass are still planning to leave because there will be another one, is the argument. And California will lose its most important taxpayers and net off much worse, end up much worse, I guess he meant. Long-term damage unless legislature bans wealth taxes. Easier to equalize taxes on work income and capital gains at the national level. No, it's not, and he knows it. He knows it because motherfuckers like him own the national level. You will never get something like this passed without a plebiscite. It has to be a referendum because the Congress is too owned, and that's why they're apoplectic about it. Now, these people are so out of touch, they do not realize that what they're arguing is for the elimination of their own class. They are arguing that their class is so powerful that you cannot rein them in. This is something a lot of people never understand when you talk about taxes on wealth. They'll start arguing about what it would do for the federal budget and you need more than this and da 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 da. It's not about that. It's not about that. Taxes on wealth are largely about making sure that rich people never have so much power that democracy becomes just a sick joke as we have now. That's a big part of why you tax wealth. So that they do not have so much wealth that they can leverage it against the whole rest of the population and get their way. That is why you tax wealth. And we're living in the result. This is an example of why you can't have that. Look right here. 4 in 5 support raising taxes on the rich and big corporations. Even a majority of Republicans support it. Why can't you have it? You're supposed to have a democracy, right? Because these people have too much fucking money. Like, set aside every other question of how you would pay for this. Set aside all of that. You need to take these people's money because they have too much power. It's as simple as that. It doesn't even matter what you do with the money. You could shoot the fucking money into space. It would be better for the country to do that than to have these people have this amount of money. So a little bit from Khanna's overall response. Khanna hit back at his critics with a lengthy defense of not just the wealth tax, but his conception of what he calls pro-innovation progressivism. Quote, my district is 18 trillion, nearly 1/3 of the U.S. stock market in a 50-mile radius. We have 5 companies with a market cap over 1 trillion, Khanna said. If I can stand up for a billionaire tax, this is not a hard position for 434 other House members or 100 senators. The seminal innovation in tech is done by thousands, often with public funds. I never talk about that. How much Elon gets in grant money, and not just him, all these people get grant money, government contracts. You think your taxpayer, your tax money is not funding them? Of course it is. Yes, we need entrepreneurs to commercialize disruptive innovation. But the idea that they would not start companies to make billions or take advantage of an innovation cluster if there is a 1 to 2% tax on their staggering wealth defies common sense and economic theory. We cannot have a nation with extreme concentration of wealth in a few places, but where 70% of Americans believe the American dream is dead and healthcare, childcare, housing, education is unaffordable, he concluded. What will stifle American innovation, what will make us fall behind China, ship has sailed, buddy, is if we see further political dysfunction and social unrest, if we fail to cultivate the talent in every American and in every city and town. So, yes, a billionaire tax is good for American innovation, which depends on a strong and thriving American democracy. Now this is what I mean. I think Ro Khanna means well. I think he's blind, willfully blind to the reality of the system that he's in. He still thinks this system can be reformed. He has a reform capitalism agenda. Look, they want to primary you over this, dude. You can't reform this system. You can't. They won't let you. They will not let you. And if you want to know why Ro Khanna is very weak tea on Israel, look who his donors are. Andreessen Horowitz. Do you believe Ro Khanna doesn't think Israel is an apartheid state? Do you think he does not think that? You think he doesn't think it's a genocide they're committing in Gaza? Look who gives him his money. But you know who does have his finger on the pulse of the moderate billionaires? Gavin Newsom. Here's what he said when he was asked about this wealth tax.
Is a wealth tax proposal in California that I think you are adamantly against.
Yes, I am.
And we have a mayor that's coming here in New York who would like to have a wealth tax if he could. You couldn't be more diametrically opposed.
Yeah, well, I want to be a Big Ten party. It's about addition, not subtraction.
But this idea of a unifying theory of the case.
I mean, I think we all want to be protected. We all want to be respected. We all want to be connected to something bigger than ourselves. We have fundamental values that I think define our party about social justice, economic justice. I think we recognize it's important to focus on growth, but also focus on inclusion. We have pre-distribution Democrats. We have redistribution Democrats. And therein lies the dialectic, and therein lies the debate within the Democratic Party. We also have Democrats that are representative of their districts, representative of the people that they represent. So much punditry has been done about, well, is the future of the party Mandami? At the same election that occurred, well, is the future, hold on, of Virginia? Is the future New Jersey? Is the future?
But which is it? And that's the question about the unifying theory question, which is you could have a big tent, but if the theories of the case are so diametrically opposed, how split and broken is the party?
Look, the party's knitting itself back together. We got shellacked in the last election. And there's been a lot of forensic analysis, perhaps not enough, about what happened.
Yeah, I really wish we had thought of this. Maybe we'll have it next year. Word salad of the year. Like that was word salad. He got so nervous, started rapping.
Yeah, exactly.
He started rapping in the middle of that. So that's what you're going to get from the Democrats. Not only that, he followed that up with this banger of a tweet. Actually was up as a nominee for Tweet of the Year. The presidency once served as a reminder of our common humanity. Ronald Reagan described its purpose as building a nation composed of good and decent people. And as we pointed out when we showed it the other night, yeah, Ronald Reagan called black people monkeys. He did the whole welfare queen thing, denied AIDS funding. So you gotta look at who these people are, who this appeals to. These are psychopathic billionaires who see themselves as virtuous because they support a slightly less racist and gayer version of the right-wing agenda of MAGA. That's what they consider moderate. When they talk about moderate, what they mean, nobody else counts. And to be fair, they don't. They don't. The only people who count are billionaires in this country. They're running the country completely. Billionaires, soon to be trillionaires, running the country. When he says you've alienated the moderates, he means the people he knows. I'm the less pro genocide of the working class billionaire in the room, and you've alienated me. I'm not as well. Let them die off and decrease the surplus population as a lot of other people I know. Have you heard Elon after a few K-hole journeys? Wow, man, he really wants them all dead. That's their idea of a moderate. When Gavin Newsom talks, yeah, we're a Big Ten party, who's he talking about? Who's he talking about? He's talking about a party that has 90% billionaires. and 10% minorities who are terrified of things being even worse for them. That's what he's described. And suburban libs who want to feel good about themselves by aligning themselves with what they've been brainwashed into thinking is a left liberal enlightened project. That's it. But this whole story, the way they have reacted to this, I could not think of a better demonstration and proof of the fact that we don't have democracy. You don't run this country. All the election stuff is a big show, and you got to address the real problem. As long as these people have this money, your life's going to keep getting worse. Period. That's your problem. That's what you have to address.
Well, it's interesting too because Ro Khanna always touts his progressive bona fides, and he keeps getting reelected in Silicon Valley, which has this amassed concentration of wealth. And the virtue signal just exposes itself at first opportunity, right? When he first says, "Okay, let's skip over the process of actually passing a bill," because he was at the forefront of the Build Back Better negotiations, and he caved and gave a ludicrous explanation for caving. But that's what he was there to do. He was there to cave. And when you actually surpass that process or skirt that process and go straight to a ballot referendum, well, that's a bridge too far for the people who were perfectly happy to express how much they care about the less fortunate by electing Ro Khanna in the first place all these times.
Yep. Yeah. They like using someone like Ro Khanna as a totem of their own enlightenment as long as he doesn't do anything.
Exactly. All right. Hey, let's take a word from 1775 Coffee. Haven't done that in a while here. If you still haven't tried 1775 Coffee, now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units available. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic, a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. That's $170 worth of coffee and gear, and it's yours for just $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble from the beginning, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. So go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble. 1775coffee.com/studio. Thank you. All right. Yeah, we're homepaged on Rumble. So we have over 2,000 in the Rumble chat now and 24 plus in the YouTube and Twitter chat. That is well past good enough for one of these. 25. And 1263 in the like column. All right, beautiful.
All right, we're into the last segment of the year, baby.
Last segment of the year. You got some super chats first?
Yep. We sure do. 0744 Pete. I know many first-generation Somalis in MPLS. What is that?
Minneapolis, probably.
Minneapolis, yeah. Including children who walked from Mogadishu to Dadaab refugee camp in Kenya just to get here. All right.
Nice.
We should go there.
Yeah.
By age, no, really, that would be interesting on the ground reporting. By 0744 Pete. By age 14, many speak perfect English, Somali, Arabic, and German or French. Among the kindest, generous, and intelligent people I've ever known. Listen, you look at that troll game, I believe it.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
knew? Who
Yeah.
knew? Those guys have comedy chops.
They're funny.
Really funny. Marvin Vargas, false flag op with Somalis, Iranians, Palestinian coming. Yep. This is why I keep saying, man, like it's a weird time to go out of the country for as long as I'm going, because there's a good chance like World War III breaks out while I'm overseas. Like a decent chance. Captain Ace Hawk, great segment. I've just noticed how large Netanyahu ears are. Now I've noticed it. I can't stop seeing it. Makes it easier to watch him grift. He looks like a chimp.
Yeah.
To me. Cray 06. Thank you so much, Russ and Keaton, for giving us the best news commentary on the internet. Appreciate all I've learned from you guys and your esteemed audience. Wishing you and the channel all the best in 2026.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, what do we got here? Eric Torres. Remember, this is a blue state. Shows you at the end of the day, behind closed doors, all these people hate you. Yeah, man. I mean, if you look at how blue states are, it's surprisingly, the New York Times did a really good video essay about this. Wealth inequality is actually much worse in blue states than it is in red states. Because as soon as these people get in power, they do NIMBY stuff to keep you out of their neighborhoods. They protect their own tax privileges. And you wind up, New York City, I think, has the highest credit card debt in the country. Nat the Cat Williams, you two have built a beautiful thing. Check out freedom cities like Prospera, Honduras. Deal and friends want corporate government. Yeah, isn't there a documentary about that?
Is there? I'm not sure.
I think on HBO. There's definitely, I'm not sure if it's that place. There's definitely a documentary I started. I haven't finished it, about like one of these libertarian city experiments. Kuznetsky Bassane, billionaires do not equal patriots or Christians. Yeah, but wow, do they spend a lot of money trying to convince you otherwise? Regeneration News, they'll always sell to buy more companies or politicians, never to pay taxes, right? Force highest earners to sell every New Year's Eve, buy back in New Year. Yeah, you know what? Somebody was making this point. I meant to include it in the segment. People who pay property taxes are paying on future gains. You're paying based on that house's worth.
That's right.
Of what you would be paying, of what you would get if you sold the house.
Right. All right. Hey, folks, if you like what we do here and you want to help us do more of it, the member links are right here. Sign up for just $5 a month. It is Film Club night for all of the members. Apocalypse Now is the presentation of the evening for Russ's trip to Asia. DoDissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /locals. Membership starts at just $5 a month. Gets you all kinds of perks, include call-in Q&A access and access to special events like this evening, plus your name up in lights here on the scroll. So thank you all very much for your support. Links are right there. Membership starts at just $5 a month. 3 Tom the Bomb says ACP's Eddie Liger and or Haz Al-Din would be great guests to have on in 2026. Looking forward to it. Russ, we are waiting for your application, acp.us.
I know. Y'all were very excited about that prediction. A few people clipped that.
Why can't someone be weak and pathetic like me and only support people who hold you in high regard, just like I only support people who hold my Christian pronouns? Oops, I mean values. Thank you, Vienticus. Good one. Just for fun, I'll say Russell is simply saying what I keep saying, just in different words. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. I'll let you finish it off, Russell. There you go.
This is why I don't comply.
Yeah. Vienticus Prime, to add on to what Russell was saying, I will again quote myself like the asshole I am. If you can convince a man he is learned, there is little else you cannot convince him of.
I like that. That's good.
That. Seamus Warren, is it true the Vietnamese call it the American War?
Yes. It is.
Yes.
It is. That is really, honestly, that's going to be a major highlight of my trip. Like the Hanoi Hilton is a museum there. They've kept it in the condition it was in when it was being used as a prison. That's where John McCain was held. You can go through the tunnels. They have the tunnels both outside of Da Nang and Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon.
Professor Brown saw Elysium recently. Obviously, Thiel, Musk, Harp, Brin and company see dystopian sci-fi not as warnings, but cool. American frat cycles with shallow nerd culture and god tech. Their survival is our loss. Sunrise says a Gray Zone video about Barry Weiss up less than 24 hours has 59,000 views. The Free Press video up for a week has less than 3,000 views. Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
Makes total sense. Seamus Warren says between 1944 and 1963, the top marginal income tax rate in the United States remained above 90%. That's right.
Yep.
Peak rate, it reached an all-time high of 94% in 1944 to 45 for taxable incomes over 200,000, roughly 3.5 million today. Same as Moore and Eisenhower era during the 1950s, the top rate was consistently 91 or 92%. Okay. Due to numerous deductions, exemptions, loopholes, the effective tax rate for top 1% was much lower, between 44 and 45. Current 2025 tax rate, U.S. federal income tax has 7 brackets ranging from 10 to 37. That's right. That's the top. These rates were made permanent by the recent legislation. Yep. Seamus Warren, once again, exactly. Please clap. There you go. Seamus Warren, effective tax rate on wealth. Globally, billionaires pay an effective rate equivalent to less than 0.5 of their total wealth, 0.5%. Yep. Thank you, Seamus. All right, our final segment now of 2025. Last segment of the year.
Okay, so who gets the spotlight for our final segment? Ms. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Kyle Griffin here. After Marjorie Taylor Greene held a news conference in which she threatened to name abusers in the Epstein files, Trump called her. Greene was in her Capitol Hill office. Everyone could hear him yelling at her. According to Greene, Trump replied, "My friends will get hurt." So this is New York Times did a very, very, very long profile article on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Cockturd shared part of it out. He said Epstein's victims didn't deserve a White House invite. Trump is 100% guilty, and Republicans still defend this PDF file. Well, not just Republicans. Our friend Michael Tracy, who we have invited to come on the show. We haven't heard back yet, right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
No, not yet. He might have just been trying to save face in public there. I'm starting to think. We'll see. So this is a clip from the article. After the hearing, Greene held a news conference at which she threatened to identify some of the men who had abused the women.
No, he did say yes. He said, should be fine. Just send me a reminder as it approaches. Okay.
Oh, okay. So well, it's on, baby.
All right, cool.
It's on. Sunday night. Be here. Greene says that she didn't know those names herself, but that she could have gotten them from the victims. Trump called Greene to voice his displeasure. Greene was in her Capitol Hill office, and according to a staff member, everyone in the suite of rooms could hear him yelling at her as she listened to him on speakerphone. Greene says she expressed her perplexity over his intransigence. According to Greene, Trump replied, "My friends will get hurt. Do you understand? They're dying. They're dying. They're having their sick perversions come back to haunt them. We can't have that." When she urged Trump to invite some of Epstein's female victims to the Oval Office, she says, he angrily informed her that they had done nothing to merit the honor. It would be the last conversation Greene and Trump would ever have. Nah, he didn't do anything. Trump didn't do anything. That sounds like innocent behavior to me. Marjorie Taylor Greene says she was naive for believing Trump is man of the people. Gives lengthy interview with New York Times days before stepping down as Congresswoman from Georgia. The third term, this is from The Guardian, the third term Georgia Congresswoman said she was watching Kirk's memorial service on TV when his widow, Erica, said she forgave her husband's killer. But then Trump took the stage to say that unlike Kirk, a missionary with a noble spirit who did not hate his opponents, Trump said he disagreed. "I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them," Trump said. Greene said that was absolutely the worst statement. It just shows where his heart is. And that's the difference with her having a sincere Christian faith and proves that he does not have any faith. Marjorie, what have we learned about naivety?
Right.
Greene said that her turn away from unrepentant MAGA acolyte came in that moment, and she abandoned her training to never apologize and to never admit when you're wrong. As a Christian, I don't believe in doing that, she said. Greene's break with Trump and the Republican leadership in Congress was, she told the Times, completed over a vote to release investigative files related to the sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Whoops, I think this is a little out of order. I agree with Erica Kirk, who did the hardest thing possible and said it out loud. We're going to have to cut this a little funny. Sorry. I agree with Erica Kirk, who did the hardest thing possible and said it out loud, Green said. She later told a friend that after Kirk died. I realized that I'm part of this toxic culture. I really started looking at my faith. I wanted to be more like Christ. The MAGA landscape post-Kirk has been showing signs of fracture, and Green has found herself at odds with administration and Republican positions, declaring the war in Gaza a genocide, as well as casting doubt on economic, healthcare, and foreign policy positions that she says do not prioritize working-class Americans. I was just so naive and outside of politics, Green said, adding, it was easy for me to naively believe. In a statement to The Guardian, White House spokesperson Davis Ingalls said, President Trump remains the undisputed leader of the greatest and fastest growing political movement in American history, the MAGA movement. You sure it's not the fastest shrinking movement in American history? Because it's kind of looking more like that these days. On the other hand, Congresswoman Green is quitting on her constituents in the middle of her term. Well, you got her there. And abandoning the consequential fight we're in. We don't have time for her petty bitterness, Ingle added. Green's break with Trump and the Republican leadership in Congress was, she told the Times, completed over a vote to release investigative files related to the sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Green said the Epstein files represented everything wrong with Washington and said it was a story of rich, powerful elites doing horrible things and getting away with it. And the women are the victims. In the interview, Green said that she had been wrong to accuse Democrats of treason. She acknowledged that she is now a political outcast from both sides of the political divide. I'm like radioactive, she acknowledged. Everyone's like, she's changed, Green added. I've learned Washington, and I've come to understand the brokenness of the place. So some funny responses to this. Select all squares containing someone on the Jeffrey Epstein list. And Trump is in every square. And bow before the prophet or get kicked out of the cult. Yeah, that's what happened to her and Massey, that's for sure. So she dropped this today, right before we went on the air. It's worth taking a look at. Kind of her swan song here. I'm being attacked by many in the establishment Republican Party, the consulting class, and their paid shills because I have flanked them all on the right. I'm controlled by no one, and they're threatened by that. I'm more conservative than they are. My voting record proves it. I'm unapologetically America first, and my voting record proves it, and they are neocon, warmongering globalists, and their record proves it. Trump called me a traitor because I stood with women who were raped as teenagers and trafficked by Epstein, and I refused to do his bidding and take my name off the Epstein discharge petition to release the files. If you agree with him that elite, rich, powerful PDF files and rapists should be protected, then you have sick problems. I've never voted to fund any foreign wars, and I can criticize any government in the world, and you can too. Our First Amendment gives us that right. Criticizing a government's actions does not make you guilty of hating anyone or any group. And those labels are being thrown around to intimidate you and to try to silence you. Don't be intimidated. Don't be silent. You are the taxpayers, which makes you and your voice the most powerful there is. When it comes to how your hard-earned money is being spent, whether it's fraud to fake scams or NGOs or funding foreign wars that are killing children, you, the American people, are the only ones who can stop it. And most importantly, if you voted for Trump and Republicans and they're still funding ridiculous fraud and garbage and foreign wars that have nothing to do with your life, then speak up. You hired these people. You are not in a cult. Well, that's where you're wrong. You are nearly 40 trillion in debt, consistently ruled by a uniparty government, no matter which party is supposedly in charge. Hold the people you vote for accountable and demand that they do what they promised you they would do. I've been on the inside, and please believe me when I tell you that you are the only ones that can rein your government in, but don't wait until it's too late. And she shared out her Liberty score, perfect A, 100% conservative. Problem they have with Marjorie Taylor Greene is she is continuing to advocate for what honest MAGA voters voted for. What she's describing is what they voted for. Get out of foreign wars. Her ideas about managing the budget are probably not mine. I mean, I'm certainly, if she got that score from them, certainly not mine. But if you want to argue this is what people voted for, yeah, she represents it. So does Massey. Massey, very much the same with economics. He doesn't think they cut social programs enough. So that's where they're coming from. But this government is not that. Like, yeah, sure, they did some cutting of social programs, and they also gave the usual tax cuts and foot rubs to billionaires, to corporations. The federal government, even after Doge cut 9% of the federal workforce, the budget this year is up 6%. So what did you get? You didn't get any of that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, look, in the end, that is one point the White House has on her. You can't argue with it. She is walking away. She's a very powerful voice. And I get the sense from her, she's not a politics junkie like a lot of these politicians are. Hunter Thompson wrote about that a lot. These were his last writings were really about how the political class are like junkies. They're junkies. It's like heroin for them. Like they're really into the game of politics and the thrill of politics. I don't think she's one of those. I think for somebody who doesn't have that, the kind of grief that she's getting of being like a lone voice and being attacked by the cult, it's just not worth it for her. But yeah, is it a cowardly thing? Does it kind of like put a little bit of a false note into this? Well, only you can do something. Well, as a member of Congress with an enormous platform with a lot of admirers, you could do something too. So it kind of takes a little bit of the force out of your advocacy when you're leaving the voters high and dry. I think any reasonable person could understand why you don't want to deal with the grief. But at the same time, it definitely takes away from her message. But yeah, I mean, her turn has been one of the most damaging things, I think, to the Trump administration, even more so than Thomas Massey.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was much more branded MAGA. She was a bigger star than Massey. Massey is a star because he's defying MAGA. That's why he's a star, right? Massey was not a MAGA star.
He always did, yeah.
Right. The reason people know who he is because he's always been a thorn in their side. But no, she was one of their power hitters. And so, yeah, without her, they are tremendously weakened. We'll see what's in her future. I don't know. Some people speculate she'll run for governor. I suspect she probably won't because she's going to face headwinds just as strong, if not stronger, from the Republican brass if she decides.
I think she's done. I think she's going to wind up doing this.
Yeah, maybe she'll have a show. Maybe she'll have a show.
I'm not even
have her on to promote the show. Yeah, who knows? I mean, that would be an interesting show. She's definitely got a perspective that is really at the center of American politics. I mean, cultural conservatism and economic populism are kind of the sweet spot. Now, she's not the pure heroin version of either of those things, obviously, but when it comes to the big issues that she's spoken out about and used to differentiate herself from Trump, she's certainly much closer to the center than Trump is, for sure, on Israel, on Ukraine, on Epstein. I mean, she definitely owns the majority position on those in ways that Donald Trump just has run away from as far and as fast as he can, which is why his numbers are tanking. But yeah, that might be her last big tweet as a member of Congress. I'm sure she'll give a formal farewell, but as this year comes to a close, her retirement date really approaches. What is she leaving on the 5th, I think? So yeah, she's got about a week left. All right.
Looking forward to the Marjorie and Candace show.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. All right, folks. Our last ad read of 2025 is for The Grifter's Bible. It's the mind-bending novel by El Shabooms, and it's now a free weekly series on YouTube with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. Follow the First Electric Church of Jesus Christ as they combine the bleeding edge of black patented neuroscience with the state-of-the-art in Michigas to beat the Great Recession. They sell visions of God to the huddled masses of Deep Ellum, Texas, and the money pours in until the local competition, the police, and the U.S. Navy decide to put a stop to it. There's ass whoopings, car chases, and a showdown at high noon on Good Friday in Dodge City. It's sci-fi noir, it's a picaresque thriller, and it's a Western from 10 minutes in the future. It's The Grifter's Bible, a film series by El Shabooms with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. New episodes drop every Monday at youtube.com/@El Shabooms. Last one dropped yesterday. Go check it out at this link, youtube.com/@El Shabooms. All right, you got the last super chats of the year?
Hells yes. Doug Ritchie, can't have a revolution within a counter-revolutionary system. That's why I'm saying the problem is systemic.
Right.
It's not specific. It's systemic. I agree with you. Declaring independence.
Oh, that's Jose Vega.
Happy New Year to you guys and everyone who's supported us over the year.
That's
Happy
Jose.
New Year to you, my friend.
Vote Vega.
Happy New Year, Jose. I should have taken you to Tartuffe. It was much better.
Yeah, there
come
you
with
go.
me to Tartuffe. Andy Gardner, Happy New Year. Hopefully 2026 is chaotic for more content, but not chaotic enough to hurt me financially. Really, though, your success isn't coincidence. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was years of posting to Facebook groups that grew to hate us.
Right.
That was the secret sauce there. A-trees. In other words, all individual income tax revenues are gone before 1 nickel is spent on the services which taxpayers expect from their government. Grace Commission Report, 1984. Yep. 4 trees. Grace Commission Report of 1984 states that all tax money collected go to the interest on the national debt before 1 nickel is spent on government services. Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of those who, I'm not an MMT person. Like, I'm not somebody who feels, the national debt, it's a red herring. You can't go bankrupt if you print your own currency. Yeah, I don't buy that shit. I don't buy that any more than I ever bought that cryptocurrency as a store of value. But there are ways to deal with that, like cutting the Pentagon budget rather than what they tend to do. John Smith, I just want to hear Russ say super sticker.
There you go. Ryan Clark, Bibi looks like Shorty from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Seriously. Yeah, it does kind of. Adversity sings, so the people who currently pay no taxes will leave the city, state, country if we make them pay taxes, and we'll lose all the taxes that they don't pay. Make it make sense. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good
EO
point.
Shush. Matt Taibbi left Useful Idiots to write a book. That book never came out. My 26 prediction, Matt's next book, The Grift. My story going undercover as a right-wing grifter, or he is in the Epstein files. He is not in the Epstein files. It is organic. It is an organic change of heart, which to me is more embarrassing, not less embarrassing. But whatever floats your boat, I suppose. Hey, folks, that's our show. That's our year. That's our 2025.
That's our year, baby.
Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. We appreciate you all. Please smash that like button. Please smash that subscribe button. Please smash that follow button over on Rumble. We got a big crowd in here now. Thanks to Rumble for homepaging us this afternoon. Appreciate you all very, very much. If you sign up and you become a member at patreon.com/DoDissidents, we will see you tonight for Film Club. That is our last broadcast of the year. For everybody else, we will be off on New Year's Day, and we are back on Sunday. Sunday with, looks like, special guest Michael Tracy. He did say, he said, yeah, just shoot me a reminder a few days in advance to confirm for sure. But it looks like that's a go. So we will have Michael Tracy on the show at 7 o'clock this upcoming Sunday. And that'll be the next you hear from us, because once again, we are off on Thursday. So you all have a very happy, fun, and safe New Year's, and we will see you all back here on Sunday. I guess that's January 4th, whatever the date is. I think it's the 4th, but don't quote me on that. Just quote me on Sunday, 7 p.m. That's when we'll see all of you next. We'll see
I
the
think it
members.
is the 4th. Yeah, I think so.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you all then. We'll see members for Film Club tonight. Until then, thanks very much, everybody, for spending the afternoon with us. And thanks for spending the year with us. We hope next year's a little better. We'll do our best. We hope you'll do yours. Thanks again. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.